Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marios Dikiakos. I am Director of the Center for Entrepreneurship of the University. I would like to welcome you to the second session of the 5th Innovation and Entrepreneurship Forum, which is organized in collaboration with PwC. Earlier today, we had the opportunity to follow the pitches of the finalists of the Cyprus Entrepreneurship Competition and find out the three winners, three innovative companies that won prizes established by the Ministry of Industry, Commerce and Trade, Navigator Consulting Group, RISE, and IDEA, and Cyben. So in this second session, we are going to have a theme that is of interest to it's highly relevant to what is going on nowadays with technologies. So the theme is the challenge of artificial intelligence. And I would like to thank Professor Theodoros Evgeniou from INSEAD, who accepted to be our PwC distinguished speaker, as well as the other distinguished panelists and participants to the AI capacities track. Last but not least, I would like to thank PricewaterhouseCoopers Cyprus, which is our strategic partner and the main sponsor of the forum. Without further ado, I pass the floor to Mr. Evgeniou, the CEO of PwC Cyprus, who will do the introduction of our invited speaker. Evgeniou.
Thank you, Marios. It's a great pleasure for yet another year to be supporting the forum and to have the privilege to introduce the speaker for the PwC Distinguished Lecture. This year's lecture is particularly special. It's for the first time in my life, I introduce a speaker who has the same surname as myself. It's just a coincidence. But the more important reason is the fact that the topic is so important. Technology has been a mega trend shaping societies, economies, and businesses for a number of years now. And of course, many people say that has been the case for decades. So what's different now? And what's different now, to a large extent, is artificial intelligence. The fact that we have machines that are thinking and learning, replacing humans, humans having to work with them, and of course, all the opportunities, risks, and moral dilemmas that arise because of that. And we have a very distinguished speaker today. Professor Theodoros Evgeniou is a professor of decision sciences and technology management at INSEAD. And before that, he was for 20 years at MIT, where he received 4 degrees, including his PhD, and he's author of several academic and business articles. His focus at INSEAD is data analytics for business and applied to a broad range of activities, including marketing and finance. So I couldn't think of someone better than Professor Evgeniou to talk to us on the topic of navigating data and AI opportunities and risks, new challenges for business and regulators. I look forward to your presentation and obviously look forward to the panel discussion that will follow, where participants will have the chance to ask questions. So Theodoros, the floor or the screen is yours.
Thank you very much. And indeed, it's the first time of my life also that I'm in the same place with somebody who has the same last name. I don't know, that's maybe a sign from outer space that we have to do something today to challenge our luck. I'm sharing my screen. I don't know if you can see this. Is that okay? Can you see the screen, the slide? Yeah.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Yeah, and thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure and an honor to join this event. As we were discussing before, and as also Evgeniou, I'm going to use the first name so we don't confuse each other, said, I've been working in this space for, I guess, the past 25 years or so, 10 years in MIT in the 90s, and then 20 years at INSEAD. And also, I have the pleasure to know Yorgos Zacharia, who I understand was earlier with you, and maybe hopefully he's online, I don't know, with whom we met the first time, I believe, in 1990 in China, in Beijing, for the International Math Olympiad. He was with the Cyprus team, I was with the Greek team, and then we, again, in 1991 in Sweden, and then we worked together for 10 years in MIT. He would have the same PhD advisor. We worked together basically for the past 30 years in different ways. So it's a very, very, very lucky day in many ways, with lots of coincidences happening, which is very, very touchy in many ways. I'd like to talk about a few topics I'll cover. And as Evgeniou said, this is quite a unique technology. Societies and business and economies are shaped by technology. In fact, let me broaden a little bit there and start from a kind of a 10,000 feet perspective and share a short story about one of the most defining moments, very simple, but defining moments in my career, let's say intellectually, if you like, or my journey intellectually. It was sometime in the early 2000s. I had just joined INSEAD after being 10 years in MIT, INSEAD being a business school, MIT being, I was doing engineering there, computer science. And I remember we had a seminar speaker from Harvard Business School at the time, probably 2002 or something, 2001. And I remember we were chatting in my office, and me being like a complete MIT person and him being a Harvard Business School person, we kind of had a very exciting discussion about, what moves the needle. And at the time, being kind of excited, geeky, and all that, I argued with him that if there is one difference, arguments, not fight. If there is one difference between, let's say, ancient Greeks and modern Greeks, or ancient worlds and modern worlds, it's not that people are different, because people are the same. The only thing that's different is technology. Another way I usually say this when I discuss about business, technology, and leadership, another way I say this is that leaders in a cave are still leaders, but they are still in a cave, basically. And then he challenged me. He said, not true. He said there is another thing which is as powerful or complementary or more powerful, or at least powerful, as technology. It is ideas. For example, the idea of democracy. And that was basically the moment where I basically started developing my two ways of thinking about the world, the MIT way and the, let's say, business way. It's people plus technology, of course, and ideas. Ideas come from people. So the interesting thing about AI and this kind of technology we'll talk about today is that there is not only a lot of technological innovation behind this, there is also a lot of ideas, which are also philosophical ideas. One of the projects I'm working on these days it's an article with a lot of co-authors, about 20 of them, which covers fields ranging from computer science to economics, to cognitive science, to philosophy. And I'll come back to this. That's a very important point. And the title of this article, tentatively for now, is called Computational Ethics. And this relates to the whole theme of my presentation. Now, with this background, let me move on and just give you some concrete examples. This is from the European Commission's, one of the European Commission's kind of publications, where you can see kind of all the areas where AI and data technologies can have an impact: better medical diagnosis, digitalized transportation, lower impact, climate impact. On the energy sector, there's a huge impact on the energy sector. It's an area I'm working on quite closely, and it's a fascinating area where AI can have a huge impact. Related also to environment, agriculture, of course, agri-tech, and the big issue around, the social media and the elections, misinformation, and how this affects our lives and our democracies, going back to ideas and democracy. So this is really, really impactful topics. Just to dive into one of them, which is an area that, of course, especially given COVID, is close to everybody's heart. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, which the main one of the most important regulators in the world, especially nowadays with COVID, we're all waiting for the approval of the FDA of different vaccines, has already approved the past 3 or 4 years about 60. Now it says 29 here, but by now it's 60. This is an article from about a year ago. About 60 AI and machine learning based medical devices technologies. These are technologies, these are tools and machine learning-based tools and AI, which basically can diagnose certain diseases. And as you see here in this list of the top, 7 diseases can go from like diabetic retinopathy, which is actually the first so-called autonomous medical diagnosis device, actually, the IDXDR, to stroke detection, to fracture, to blood glucose issues, to, of course, sleep disorders, cardiovascular things. It's a lot of diagnoses which are done automatically by machines, better than the best experts in the world. Imagine what this means. Now suddenly you have the best expert and better than the best expert in the world diagnosing people just through a machine and probably also potentially remotely anywhere in the world. You can have a best doctor basically diagnosing diseases in every village and every corner of the planet, which is without necessarily having the constraints that the people constraints. It's a big deal, and you can imagine what this means about healthcare and healthcare delivery and healthcare system in general, including of course the costs and the efficiencies and everything else. So this is a big deal. However, with opportunities, there is always threats, and that's one of my favorite readings. I highly recommend you. It's online, it's public. If you go to Google and you search for National Security Commission on Artificial Intelligence, this is the US National Security Commission on Artificial Intelligence. They have a number of different reports. This commission, I think, was formed a couple of years ago, maybe 3, I don't remember. And this is like a few points from the interim report. Now they had a new one, with the title, "What Threats Does AI Pose to the National Security of the United States?" This is big issues. For example, erosion of US military advantage, and in quotes directly from the report, competitors led by China and Russia to undermine US military superiority. Number 2, strategic stability and risk, quote from the report, targeting previously invulnerable military assets. Number 3, disinformation and the threat to our democratic system. Number 4, erosion on individual privacy and civic liberties, quote, greater capabilities to monitor and track citizens. Number 5, accelerated cyber attacks. Number 6, danger of accidents, compounded by AI's brittleness, underlying that by myself, in complex environments. I'll come back to this. So this is pretty serious topics. Now, what I enjoy doing when I give presentation, especially to executives, is I take this slide and I replace some words with other words and change the logo of the US National Security with your company's logo. And everything holds. Erosion of your competitive advantage. Competitors to undermine your strengths. Think about functions, of course, new entrants or competitors. Strategic stability and risk. Targeting previously invulnerable assets and markets, customers, right? Globally. Disinformation and a threat to our reputation as a business. Erosion of individual employee and customer privacy and civic liberties. Greater capabilities to monitor and track employees and customers. Accelerated cyber attacks the same, and compounded accidents, compounded is the same with different accidents. So this applies across the board, not only for the United States or any country, but for any organization, business or non-business. Now, this is all big impact topics. However, one of the biggest challenges we're facing now is what's called, what maybe one can say, the skills challenge, the understanding. And being in an education environment myself, INSEAD, that's something we're thinking about very closely. I'm personally very much involved in thinking about how the business education should be shaping going forward based on these changes. It's one of the most discussed topics at INSEAD these days, and I'm sure in most schools. So skills is a main thing, and skills in broader sense, including understanding. Just to give you an example, in this skills I'm not talking about skills only of, I'm talking about skills at all ages and at all roles. Just to give you an example of the kind of roles, this is like some preliminary results out of a study we are doing with Mazars and the board agenda with the INSEAD Corporate Governance Center. It's going to come out sometime in January, early January. This is just a question to directors of boards. This is a survey of, well, I don't remember the number, but lots of organizations globally where the survey was asked at CEOs, CFOs, and directors of boards and chairmen, chairwomen. Here's one question which is telling. You see on the left side, well, 2 questions. On the left side, how most of those applicants agree that AI and digital development plans within their organization are assessed and approved by the board. We see more and more of this happening as we speak. But on the right side, they make decisions. However, the answer to the question, your board is sufficiently skilled and knowledgeable about technology and AI and the implications for business and industry, and may I add also in society, is not very positive. They disagree, most of them. So now we have people making important decisions with impact worth it to be noted by the US National Security Services without understanding what they're doing. That sounds scary, but it's one way to think of something scary is also as an opportunity for innovation and development and doing things even better. So I'll dig deep. I'll spend a bit more time on skills later on. I'm happy to talk more about this later. This is a topic, again, as I mentioned, being at INSEAD on the training side, not only on the research side, is very close to my heart, and spending that's kind of the bread and butter in some sense, or a bread and butter of what we're spending our time on at the universities, of course, much like in the University of Cyprus, I'm sure. From the same study, when we ask what are the principal reasons acting as constraints on the introduction of AI in the organization, again, you more or less see that skills is the first one, lack of understanding, unclear business value, which relates to lack of understanding, although that's a bit broader than that, of course. And because if you don't know the business value, how do you put an ROI behind this? How do you understand the options and the soft impact it can have on the culture or on the defense of the company against competition or defense of markets and all that? And of course, there is also still poor data, a big deal. Data quality, data engineering is a big deal, as everybody who works in this space knows. And IT infrastructure, the usual integration of data plus systems, even though things are on the cloud nowadays more and more, but still is a challenge, according to at least this survey. Interestingly, there are two other columns here, and these are the top 7 out of a number of other questions we asked. So the other ones were less visible in some ways. Resistance to AI by some parts of the organization. One of my favorite ways to think about any technology, including AI, of course, is the following. Unless technology changes something in the way we live and work, it is not leveraged enough. Basically, one should always think about technology as change. Something has to change. Business model, organization, industry, something has to change. And of course, with change comes resistance. Now, AI has some special kind of resistance. There are various studies that show, although that's more kind of theoretical in many ways in the minds of people, but still it's in the minds of people, resistance due to fear of replacement, or fear of surveillance, or fear of transparency more than you wish sometimes, or loss of power in different ways, usually comes with resistance and change. And part of that, of course, especially when it comes to surveillance or other aspects, internally or externally to the organization, brings us to what's called today responsible AI, ethical considerations, and I will spend quite some time on that part, mostly from the point of view of regulation, and also trying to link it on how these regulations, as they are shaped today, and we're still early in this journey, may affect business, but of course always affect societies and our everyday life. So let's give you a sense about what's in the mix beyond lack of understanding, skills, IT, data, and resistance, also ethical considerations. On the skill side, big topic. 2 points over here, and this is an article we did with Dimitris from MIT Sloan last year. All these are available online, by the way, on my LinkedIn, many of them if you like. Basically, one of the key points to make here, and this is a presentation by itself, of course, is that what's important is that there is a need for a breadth of skills, a broad set of skills, especially for leadership. And when I say about leadership, I'm not talking about data leadership, I'm talking about leadership itself. But of course, also at all levels of an organization, and of course for the younger generations. And these things change fast, really fast. I can tell you various examples from our experience and my experience at INSEAD and outside INSEAD, of course. It's a very fast-moving space. So you need skills that range not only technical skills and being able to just understand and get data together to make some analysis, but, for example, how to use data to make decisions. It's a big deal there. How do you balance data with judgment? How do you make sure you understand that what the data say, the story that the data says, is the actual story and it's not a fluke? There is causality or not. How do you understand causality from the data? How do you know that your A/B experiment, if I go to something more technical, is well run and it makes sense, the conclusions? How do you use it as a business person to make decisions, from very operational decisions to potentially even strategic decisions, or somewhere in between? And then there are skills of communicating and storytelling, All of this in order to potentially change the culture and the mindset of companies to become what one may call the new organizations, or otherwise called data-driven organizations. This is a totally new, different animal, and it's kind of a little bit the way to think about this, at least the way I like to think about this. I always like to go a little bit, back in history. In a sense, this is what's happening. In a sense, is what happened in the medical practice about 100 years ago, or a bit more. What was a big revolution? Well, for about 2,000 years, one of the most common ways to treat people when they were sick was an idea that actually it seems came out from ancient Greeks, although actually it seems it came out from ancient Egyptians, but Greeks like to say they're their idea. Ancient Greeks, let's say for now, they came up with a wonderful idea. When you get sick, it makes sense, rationally, that to remove the virus from your body, the virus must be in your blood, so we should remove your blood. Bloodletting, removing the blood from people, has been one of the most popular treatments of people who were sick for about 2,000 years. Until sometime in the late 19th century, of course, it stopped. George Washington, the US president, was one of the latest victims of this ancient Greek or ancient Egyptian practice, 2,000 years later. Now, two lessons here. First of all, the fact that a belief is surviving for 2,000 years does not make the belief any more true. The same for business beliefs or any beliefs we may have. So what happened in the late 19th century and later on the 20th century? Well, I don't think any of us would accept to use a COVID vaccine, which have not gone through rigorous clinical trials, A/B testing, data gathering, a scientific approach to making decisions. Should we accept this vaccine or not? And that's what saved lives. That's what saved us from the bloodletting thinking into our data-driven decision-making in healthcare, which led to the whole pharmaceutical industry. What happened in this historic moment of going from bloodletting based on gut feeling and a story that some ancient Greek or ancient Egyptian said 1,000 years ago to a data-driven decision-making was revolutionary, as we all understand. And this is exactly what's happening today in all aspects of our lives and in all decisions of businesses. Moving from traditional businesses to data-driven businesses is like moving from bloodletting to clinical trials for finding vaccines. That's what we're talking about here. Now, this requires skills and mindset and processes and capabilities. It doesn't come easy, but you can understand what's at stake in this transition. That's the future in many ways of everything in business. Now, the kind of skills, as I said, is broad. It goes from communication, technical skills, influence. One of my favorite quotes is coming from a board member of a large media company, global media company, who is also a chief data officer in that company and is also sitting on the board, which says data is influence. Data is influence, because you can imagine what this means in many ways. I have also another point here in this slide, the AI sticky factors on the left. This relates to the idea that, another idea, these things change fast, and it seems, although it's too early to know, that we may be observing some kind of a gap between leading companies and laggard companies within each industry, for example, or across industry, of course, also Amazon versus everybody else in some ways. And this gap seems to be increasing year by year. And this is kind of a hypothesis of so-called sticky factors of AI, for example, meaning companies that have more data. Think about Amazon recommending products or Netflix or whatever. If you have more and better data, you can develop better recommendation algorithms, for example, better services, better products. Better recommendation algorithms means more customers. More customers means more data. More data means better models. Better models means more customers, and so on and so forth. The same with skills. Once you have a powerful, high-skilled team of data scientists and AI experts in the company, they attract other good people. Good people always go with good people. And that's another virtuous cycle. And all of this enforcing and reinforcing the culture change from bloodletting to data-driven decision-making in organizations. Of course, I'll just touch a little bit upon about AI adoption, and I will switch to regulation and risks and potentially new opportunities. Other factors, purpose, back to the business case, a lot to say about purpose here. One of my favorite moments recently was when I was working on a project with a large $30 billion European energy company. And I was at the headquarters of the company discussing with a COO and board member of the company about how they use AI and data. And one of the questions was the following. This was, by the way, the headquarters were like in the middle of a highway in a small town in Germany. It's like, okay. So I asked him, totally honest, we had a very good relationship we have. I asked him, how do you attract here talent? Why would one come here in the middle of the highway in a small village in Germany and not go to Berlin, especially those people who are AI and machine learning and data scientists, who are like Berlin has one of the centers? And here was his answer that completely took me aback. We give people a purpose. Come here and you will change the climate and help the world do the energy transition. You can choose this, or you can go optimize advertisements online. You choose. It's very powerful. These people need purpose. Of course, skills, data, new organizational structures. You build teams that kind of span from the engineering side and the IT to productize, of course, all those solutions, all the way to business impact and embedding in the business to make sure that executives and managers and decision makers have what they need in their hands. A sponsorship from the top to support and protect, and of course, making sure you have the business case and resources to build on that. Now, let me switch gears and talk a little bit about some new stuff about AI. This gave you a sense of the opportunities of the historic changes in many ways happening, and the speed of things and some factors. But with big change comes new risks. These are some keywords that are kind of discussed among all regulators and responsible AI and risk of AI kind of communities. We want AI which is trustworthy. The European Commission talks about trust, so does everybody. We have to trust AI. We require this to be transparent. Accountability, who is accountable when there are accidents or any of those disinformation and everything else? Is Facebook accountable for misinformation? That's another long discussion, right? Fairness and bias, model risk, and I put in parentheses machine learning model risk, I'll come back later. And of course, all those things create all sorts of trade-offs between those and with business, with more traditional business metrics, let's say revenues, margins, cost, market share, you name it, product, ROEs or whatever, which of course create a whole new set and ways to think about opportunities and costs of responsible AI. And I use the word both costs and opportunities, for example, for differentiation in the eyes of the customers. I'll go a little bit about how Europeans are thinking about this. By the way, not everybody thinks the same way. I was 2 days ago, I was in a panel with in the US, in the online, that's a great thing of Zoom, where we were discussing about US versus China versus European AI national AI policy and regulation. Very interesting to see the differences, but that's a whole different topic by itself. It's a big issue, as you can imagine, and no wonder the US government has been putting AI and technology at the forefront of their discussions with China. And no wonder China is putting AI at the forefront of the China 2030 or whatever the year is for their target. So they have different approaches, but there is lots of overlap. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about Europe, and I'll just touch briefly upon 4 or 5 themes, and then stop there. Europe, if you open any European Commission report around AI, they will be writing about trustworthy AI everywhere, left, right, and center. They'll be talking about AI with European values. Wow, I've never heard of technology with European values. How come we're talking about AI, technology with European values? What does that mean? They talk about the risk-based approach to AI. Very different, by the way, from the US approach. The US is very much talking about sector-based, sector-specific. And they'll talk a lot about skills and upskills. I touched upon that, so I'm not going to say more. And then many other things. Data policies. From what I understand, Thierry Breton, for example, the commissioner is focusing a lot more on data policies, which is, as people say, data is the oil of AI. You can use this term or not if you like. I'm not a big fan of this term, but at the end of the day, it shows that data is the necessary input, and lots of these are there. Lots of the values there. How to leverage strong European industries in order to prepare for the next data wave. The first data wave being the online one of the Amazons and the Netflix and the Googles and the Facebooks. But the next data wave may come from the Internet of Things, for example, where Europe has like huge advantages in different industries, in traditional industries, the industries of not of the online virtual economy, but of the real economy of physical products, whatever all of us have around us in daily lives. Of course, lots of discussion about how to bring all these things to the SMEs and what it means for SMEs. A key message which I think is important both for regulators and for business leaders, is to understand some specific characteristics of this technology. As Evgeniou said, this is really different from other technologies, and I'll touch upon this in a second. It's essential to align regulation, but also business decisions with key characteristics of the underlying technology, and I'll give you some examples of this. First of all, what's different about this technology? There are many differences, but here is one which is key. All previous technologies were at best decision support tools, or maybe they were making some automatic decisions. For example, the autopilot on the plane, you can consider it as an AI. It's making decisions by itself, right? In fact, it's based on control theory. In control theory, in mathematical language, it's like a predecessor of, or a close cousin, if you like, of machine learning and AI. Control theory, signal processing, these are all, and machine learning are more or less different, and information theory, more or less mathematically speaking, are the different sides of the same coin in some ways. So of course, these things existed before. But what we observe now, as you also saw from my initial examples from the FDA, but also from the impact of these technologies in different parts of life, AI can take increasingly complex decisions, like diagnosis, like driving, like credit, you name it. And that's key. We're talking about technologies that take decisions, not only support decisions, take decisions. Of course, they can also support decisions. For example, when you have so-called human in the loop, which may mean the human takes decision, or human in control versus human just in control only in the big red button when they have to press the big red button, otherwise let the machine make the decisions, or machine automatically making decisions, which is the case for most high-frequency decisions online, for example, or of course, humans only. Now, another key message I'd like to share is that to understand and think about these issues properly, both at the business level and at the social and policy-making level, one has to think about this in a very holistic way. This by no means covers everything under the sun, which is relevant, but it covers a few things. For example, you can see here that these topics are about IT, of course. They are about IT infrastructure, because that's where you build everything. They are about data engineering, but they are also about the nature of the machine learning, project management for those, organizational change, how they impact industry, regulation, and above all, in some ways, philosophy and principles related to what regulators talk about. Let me go now through these themes, just to give you a sense of about what are the issues and also what they mean, not only about the society, of course, but also about business. Trustworthy AI. First of all, this is largely related to explainable AI, meaning AI where we can understand why the technology reached to a specific decision. This already was somewhere in the GDPR, but it was not really enforceable there. GDPR inside has some clause that says every person who is subject to a decision made automatically by a machine, think about it as online pricing, online advertisement, or you may name it, has the right to explanation. Why was that product shown to me online and I didn't see another product? Why did my neighbor get a different price from me? GDPR allows this, although it has not been really enforced so far. It will get there slowly. Explainable AI. You have to explain when somebody asks, why was I given credit or this price or that decision and somebody else was not? Now, this is a little bit of a difficult problem, and it may actually prove to be impossible, which means it may be impossible to trust AI in this sense, in the sense of trusting AI, in the sense that we understand why it does what it does. There are other ways to trust AI, but maybe not in this way. I'll come back to this in a second. Because AI, much like humans, and this is a rewriting of a famous Polanyi's paradox. Polanyi's paradox says, people know more than they can tell. The AI version of this is that machines, like people, know more than they can tell. So it's difficult to rely on technology for important decisions, including diagnosis, your health, right? Or the information you are shown, which links back to this information, the threat to democracy, as a national security for AI of the US report says. It's very difficult, and potentially it could be impossible to achieve, or policymakers may even mess it up. I actually do worry about this, that they may mess it up, especially the European policymakers. For example, explainable AI and explanations. Is the cure worse than the disease? This comes from an article we just finished with my collaborators from Harvard Law School. which is now under review, where basically we argue that actually the European Commission or regulators, broadly speaking, if they require that we have explanations from AI, especially in the medical domain, but also in other domains, they may make AI both less trustworthy and more risky. To begin with, because the technology, the nature of the technology itself is such that it is not able to give you subjective explanations. It may give you the same explanation again to all people. It may give you explanations which are not really credible. How do you write down in mathematics, which at the end of the day is mathematics behind all these technologies, machine learning, math, really, literally, how do you write down in math that this explanation is credible to a human being versus is not credible to a human being? So if it's not credible, the people may reject the AI. Same for lack of robustness. What if you get different explanations for very similar customers? You will reject AI. You will not trust it. More important, how about if it leads you to overconfidence in your decisions? Or what's called narrative fallacy risks, meaning you get an explanation about some decision of the technology of the machine. It doesn't sound incredible. It's not exactly what you expected. It's a little bit different from what you expected, but it's not incredible. So you start making up stories in your head. This is called narrative fallacy. So it can actually drive people to make up stories, which is risks, which is a risky proposition. So these things are very difficult. AI with European values. What does that mean? They say in the white paper of February 19, 2020, the European Commission white paper on AI, this is a quote from there, the emphasis on AI based on European values and call for EU to export its values across the world. Now, before I go any further, I want you to understand here something, what's at play here. First of all, there are many reasons why Europeans may want to focus on this, but let's not get in that for now. Here is, however, what's behind this, especially the export its values across the world. Think about AI as an add-on to any product or service. Driverless car, online services and products, medical diagnosis, you name it, agriculture, everywhere, right? Energy, smart meters, you name it, everything. Think about each of your products embedded with AI, which has been trained on data. Now, if this AI does not follow the European values, does it mean you cannot trade it globally? It's a little bit like asking if this agricultural product has not been developed based on specifications, for example, for organic or whatever, environmentally friendly specifications, is that an implication for trade? Think about what's happening for Brexit now, right? With all the generally trade wars, if you like, or trade negotiations. It's about what's happening inside the product. And if you put this kind of concerns and constraints, only if the AI embedded in your product follows European values, then we buy it, otherwise we don't. Think of AI regulation like the future of trade regulation. I'll skip this and just add one more point of data, AI with European values, just to bring AI back to data, which is a big issue. AI is not only the algorithm, it's also the data used to generate the algorithm, to find the algorithm. For example, you use, let's say, in a company, that's a business example, you use in a company the data of past hiring decisions to train a machine learning algorithm to classify applicants between different categories, good or bad or promising or whatever. Now, if in the past the hiring decisions were biased one way or another, obviously the algorithm will be biased. Now, this has two implications. First of all, European values or any values, any company values or country values depend on the data used to train the machine. If you take the same AI algorithm developed in Europe and you train it or use it and let it learn from data of behaviors of people in Taiwan, you will not get European values, you will get Taiwanese values, because the AI is mirroring the data, which is mirroring the Taiwanese culture and the Taiwanese values. So this is a very difficult thing to achieve, with lots of implications about trade and innovation. On the other hand, you can flip it on its head. I'm going back to this hiring example. You can use AI as a magnifying glass to understand the biases in your organization. For example, you can train a model based on past hiring decisions and then study the model and understand what are the biases your organization had in the past. This may, by the way, be an obligation for you, because now that we know you can do this, maybe you should do this. It's a choice to do this. Because if you don't do this, you are closing your eyes to biases in decision-making, for example, hiring in this case, in your organization. So this enables new opportunities, but also new requirements potentially, or risks if you don't do them. Add to this what's called lockdown versus not lockdown AI. One of the key characteristics of these technologies is that they continuously learn as they're getting used. A little bit like Google is continuously improving, or like your autocomplete in your smartphone. When you buy a new smartphone from scratch, the autocomplete is so-so, and then it quickly learns from your habits, right? Especially sometimes it's annoying. When I'm sure all of us have the same problem, as many of us are using the same Greek letters and Greek language. When you try to write in Greek words in English Latin characters, it just completely messes up the autocomplete when you shift back to English. Kind of, you're trying to write in English and then it autocompletes in Greek words. It's very annoying because it learns from you, right? It continuously learns. So think about everything we discussed so far, how difficult it becomes as those tools, as those products and services that have AI inside, learn, and they are continuously unlocked. In this article we published last year, again with my Harvard Law School colleagues in Science magazine, we discussed this, about how regulators and business should think about their products and make choices about their products. For example, should they be locked or not? That have implications which are both business implications. If you lock your product, you don't allow it to improve, for example. But on the other hand, if you unlock your product, you may have new risks because you don't know how this product will evolve. Risk-based approach to AI, again, the European approach versus a bit the US approach, it seems. Different industries, different types of risks, but it's difficult. For example, is healthcare a riskier sector, and the European Commission seems to think so, than social media? One may say immediately, of course, healthcare is a riskier sector than social media. But then if you think about this, go back to the National Security Report, misinformation and the threat to democracy. I don't know what's most risky. Is it more risky to have something that is like a drug that works a little bit less than you think, less well than you think, or a threat to democracy? Food for thought. All to say that these are very difficult topics. And we are still scratching the surface. We're only scratching the surface. I just published, it actually came out 3 days ago. It's coming out in the print, in a magazine, January, February, but it's online as of last Wednesday or something. An article in Harvard Business Review magazine about all those risks. When machine learning goes off rails, a guide to managing the risks. It's online. Feel free to glance through if you like. And that's all I want to say. I hope it gave you a sense of the opportunities, of the threats, of the risks, and of the balance. What I like to call the art of the possible with AI, balanced with the risks of what is possible with AI. The art of the possible balanced with the risks of what is possible with AI. And that's where the balancing act is, and where the opportunity for building value while managing risks and creating a differentiation from that, hence also business value, lies going forward. And to do this, as I said, and as you can smell from all these discussions, requires that we approach those questions in a very holistic way, to think about ethics, philosophy, what's the impact on society, which may affect, at the end of the day, it has an impact on your bottom line, because you can alienate customers, of course. You can end up in regulatory risk, if you like, in many ways, or not be able to trade, to sell products in different regions. And think about this both from those angles and, of course, from the more traditional angles of technology. Although, just to point out as a last point, implementing AI and machine learning is not like implementing enterprise resource planning. These are very different technologies. So when I say here project management, I should qualify data science and AI style project management, not IT style project management. Of course, there is always an IT component too. That's all I wanted to share with you, and I'm happy to get some questions, or of course, continue the discussion in the panel. Thank you very much, and please let me know if you want me to stop sharing the screen or go back to any slide, or as you wish.
Okay, thank you very much, Theodoros. I think we should stop sharing screen so we can go back to the panels on screen. Thank you. Thank you very much for a very engaging and insightful lecture and presentation that touched, from my perspective at least, all the important issues, demonstrating why AI is actually changing businesses, changing economies, it's changing the way we live. The skills challenge, I want to vouch that is top of the list in all the CEO surveys that we carry out as PwC. And as PwC, we are making a big investment globally and here in Cyprus on upskilling our own people and engaging with clients and society to upskill them through digital academies. And of course, AI is part of that upskilling. And of course, the issue of data-driven decisions and how that is shifting the way that businesses are run and leadership. And of course, all the ethical and regulatory issues that need to be addressed, and the issue of value. And I really like the way that you have captured it all in terms of the art of the possible, balance with the risk of what is actually possible with AI. So I think it's time to introduce the panelists, and I think we have a very good panel to discuss these topics. Jana Otterbacher, I hope I pronounced the name correctly, Associate Professor at Open University here in Cyprus. She received her doctorate from the University of Michigan, and at the Open University, she coordinates the Cyprus Center for Algorithmic Transparency, whose objective is to promote transparency and accountability in algorithmic systems, and she's a leader of transparency in algorithms at RISE Research Center. And then we have Professor Antonis Kagas, who is professor at the Department of Computer Science at the University of Cyprus. He received his PhD in theoretical physics from Imperial College, and his research interests include abduction and argumentation with application to multi-agent systems, cognitive agents, machine learning, and ethics. And last but not least, my colleague, Christina Orfanidou. Christina is a senior manager with us here at PwC. She holds a PhD in artificial intelligence from the University of Oxford. And after 10 years in postdoc academic work, she decided to join the world of business. And she's engaged in advising companies here in Cyprus, but also working on projects with the European Commission in the space of data analytics and artificial intelligence. So she will give us that business, I suppose, perspective and from Cyprus. So before without any further sort of introductions, I would like to turn to Jana and ask her about this issue of making artificial intelligence available to a broader, to everyone. And I mean, AI is not is with us today. It's on our smartphones. It influences a lot of decisions. And there is this issue of democratization of AI and all these sort of everything that arises because of that. And I would like to have your comments and insights building on what was already mentioned in the lecture by Theodoros. Jana, the floor is yours.
Sure. Thank you very much for the introduction and the question. So indeed, there's been this very interesting industry trend over the past few years to democratize AI and data, of course. In my team, we've been looking a lot at the AI as a service movement, sometimes also called cognitive services. And we've also been looking at crowdsourcing, micro-paid crowdsourcing platforms. So I think maybe I'll use the AI as a service example. I can relate it back to the talk, which I really enjoyed. Thank you for that. When Professor Evgeniou said, that one thing that they use to raise awareness in their trainings is, to say, insert your company's logo here, right? We do something like that too. To get to the point, there's this issue of fairness in algorithmic processes, right? So if we look at the AI as a service modules that are offered by some of the industry giants like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, IBM Watson, they're very, very easy to use. They're very economical to use. I guess one concern that I have is that they're marketed to developers in a way that sort of says this is for anyone to use. You can get up and going with just a few clicks. In our research, part of our research has to do with auditing these modules for social biases. They do have some issues. They don't treat everyone in the same manner. So we've worked a lot, for example, with computer vision modules. And we weren't the first ones to say it, but we've done a lot of different experimentation here. They don't treat everyone the same. They tend to misrecognize gender on women more so than men, on people of color as compared to white persons, so on and so forth. So I guess the question is, do young developers, folks who are involved in startup companies, are they aware of these risks? Because ultimately they will be liable for the way these modules behave. That's one issue, right, is auditing these and try to have an understanding of how they work, some of their inherent biases. The other factor is how will the end user view all of this? So we also, in my team, do a lot of work on the user perception of all of this because, as Professor Evgeniou mentioned, there is this new area of fate, fairness, accountability, transparency, and ethics in AI. And we've come a long way in the FAT ML community, fairness and accountability, transparency, and machine learning in terms of certifying processes, right? Making sure that they clear an internal certification process, that they don't exhibit explicit biases. But then there's the question of, well, it's clearing this process, the certification process, but does the user see it as behaving in a fair way? There's not always a one-to-one correlation between those.
Thank you, Jana, for that intervention and introducing, building on the lecture to expand on these very important topics that obviously go beyond the technology and the science. And I will now turn to Professor Adonis Kagas. I mean, Cyprus, regrettably, is lagging behind in terms of our advancement in technology and digital awareness in society, and I would dare say in business as well. And it's obviously AI is something new. It's even more new for Cyprus. We have now the EU recovery plan. The EU recovery plan makes a pledge for significant investments in the space of the digital economy and the green economy, but let's focus on the digital economy for the purposes of this panel. And I would like to hear on your perspectives as to what we should do here in Cyprus to actually capture this opportunity and to mobilize around the opportunities that are created in the space of AI. And since this is a innovation entrepreneurship forum, maybe some relevant thoughts on startups and how we can enhance the ecosystem here in Cyprus around the topic of AI.
Thank you, Evgeniou. These are two topics. Let me touch on the first one first. We have heard, and this is encouraging to see, that our country is trying to tap in these new developments to raise new, if you like, economic sectors. But now this is a golden opportunity, and it's an opportunity to capitalize and to mobilize our one very important strength, which is our young scientists. In Cyprus, we have a lot of young scientists in various different fields. And what I would like to see is the government or the country to be more courageous here, to start to trust the young scientists, to make it extremely easy for them if they think they can start a new company on a technological idea or on some idea, to make it very easy for them. Let the young people, in other words, innovate and bring in their ideas and create this new economic sector, sustainable sector for Cyprus. We need to be more courageous. We need to understand that we need to let the young people free to do this. We can give them some guidelines, and if you like, I can give some guidelines later on. We can give them some guidelines, but we must let them free. And here, allow me to bring in a quote from one of the most important, perhaps, professors in computer science, Professor Ullman. Some of you might know him. And in fact, in Cyprus, we were having dinner one day with Ullman and with Skevos. Remember Skevos Evribidu, our colleague who started this thing? We were having, the three of us, dinner. And Ullman came up with this incredible quote that is stuck in my head now for 20 years or maybe even more. He said the following: I think, he said, the biggest impact that I've made to science is that I did not insist on my opinions with my students. I let my students free, and I did not insist on my opinion. And you know, perhaps, that who are his students, or whom they include. They include the starter apps of Google. Okay, so it's very important to let these people. So you need to form a culture. Okay, you need to get out this idea in Cyprus to the young people that, look, if you want to spend a couple of years trying out something, we will help you. We will provide what it needs to help you, and then slowly, hopefully, this will mushroom up in a new economic area for Cyprus. It's a golden opportunity, and I hope that we will follow it. Now, on the second question of guidelines, I don't know if you want me to come back to it later or just say a few things now. What do you prefer?
I think it's better if you share your thoughts now,
okay,
so we can capture everything.
Okay, so following from what I said, I'm hoping that there is this young people, and I'm sure there's young scientists listening. So let me try to give some general guidelines from my perspective of what you need to be aware if you're thinking of doing a startup in AI. So the first thing is, we heard it very nicely from the previous talk, is that do not let technology alone drive your ideas and drive your development of your company. If you just let technology on its own, it will fail for sure. Okay, you need to take this more interdisciplinary approach. You need to bring in various aspects of the endeavor. You need to have in your team people who are not just technological people, people from the social sciences, people from the business school, from management. You need to appeal to this wider kind of effort. So let me give you a definition of what is intelligence that I think is kind of appropriate for the kind of business idea of starting up. Intelligence is the trade-off between good and better. If you know how to play this trade-off between good and better, then you are intelligent, and this is how you should think about your company and about the services or the product you want to do. If you insist on better, in other words, if you insist on optimal solutions, you will certainly fail. You need to go to this level of what is good. There is a term for it which is called satisficing. Satisficing, for example, is what is the service that Google offers with his web search. It doesn't offer an optimal kind of search to what you're asking, but it's It's good enough. It's satisfying. There are classic examples like this. The Google example is the example with Alta Vista. Google was not always what it is. There was a company before that which was more successful than it. And what did Alta Vista try to do? At one point, they tried to rely more on giving better services, giving more services, giving more complex services, and this was the end of it. This is the same thing as the end of Concorde, for example, versus Boeing. Concorde placing the emphasis on optimal solution, on giving better solutions, and Boeing placing the emphasis on satisfying solutions. So the difficulty in AI, I think, in a kind of from a business perspective, is to find out what is this satisfying, what is this good enough level of service or product you want to give, okay, and pitch this, of course, to the market that you want to appeal. Once you do this, then things are a little bit easier because from a computational point of view, I believe at least that it's easier to compute satisfying solutions rather than optimal solutions. So, but the difficulty is at the start. The other thing you need for intelligence is knowledge. You cannot be intelligent without knowledge. We've heard about data and data-driven knowledge and learning, but be aware this is not all of it. If you again stick on this data-driven knowledge, again, this is a very dangerous thing. You will face difficulties. What is important is to understand there's also expert knowledge out there. Find out what is the expert knowledge in the area you're trying to do. Find out how to acquire expert knowledge from experts or from other sources, and integrate that in your knowledge kind of arsenal on which you develop your thing. I will disagree with our speaker. It's very important to follow EU. Follow EU. Every week you should see what's happening in EU and follow what they're saying and what they're doing, and try to understand what that means for your company. For example, consider the ethical dimension from the very start. Otherwise, it'll come and haunt you at the end. Okay, and it's not so difficult as Theodoros has put it, as long as you don't always think mathematically. If you start thinking in this interdisciplinary way, in this natural intelligence way that we have, go to your philosophers, go to your social scientists, go to your psychologists, and you will find ways to address this. If they will not be optimal, they will be satisfying, and then you move along. I think that's kind of the main message that I want to. I sort of make again a plea to the government, if government is listening. You know, it's only a small pot of money. It's just money in these days, okay. And this is money which is there is European money, recovery money, exactly to open up these new endeavors. So give the young people this space to create. Make it easy for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Antonis. Thank you for your thoughts, sharing your thoughts. Yesterday, we published PwC a study on how to transform the Cyprus economy, make it more diversified, more economically and socially resilient, and of course, technology and the green agenda and the fostering of innovation, entrepreneurship, are very much part of that study. Professor Pissaridis, the Nobel laureate in economics, contributed to that study and wrote the foreword. And one of the contributors was Christina as well, who I will ask now to give us her a sort of perspective in terms of her experience of working on data analytics primarily, but also AI-related projects here in Cyprus, and how do you see how do you see the Cyprus sort of business perspective on this and what needs to be done locally? Christina.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you to the rest of the speakers for the remarks. Many of the things that were already said have resonated on me, and I agree with many of the things that were already mentioned. So based on my experience with working with organizations in Cyprus on data analytics or AI, I think that the issues are still more fundamental in that organizations still need to build the right foundations to build AI on. So it's not so much an issue of will my AI be ethical and transparent? It's more, will I get return on investment? Also, how much will it cost me? And mostly, how will I integrate it into my business? So organizations in Cyprus and overseas as well still need to sort out their data, their infrastructure. Data is still siloed in organizations. There is still even uncertainty about the cloud in organizations, and maybe this is a lack of education and understanding to some extent. There is a lack of clarity about how AI will be integrated into current practices within the organization. And there is also a lack of understanding about what AI exactly is. And now, as Evgeniou mentioned before, we are conducting a study for the European Commission on the adoption of AI in the healthcare sector. So I have actually been reading a lot, and many of the reports that Professor Evgeniou showed before, I have read them recently in order to see what the EU is doing in order to promote this integration into businesses, also through national strategies and regulation. And definitely capability building and upskilling is very important. And data and infrastructure is very important. It's more basic, but we are still not there. So this is something that needs to be addressed. The translation of research to industry is very important. And this is something that Professor Kakas is alluding to, that there is a need to enhance that part. And regulation, of course. But what we also see from this study is that it's not only about building regulation, which is based on the way the technology works, like Professor Evgeniou said. It's also about aligning artificial intelligence with business practices. So the developers of AI have to build AI, which is not only human-centric, but it's also taking into consideration business practices, or else it will not be adopted. And also the ethical issues, I believe, are not very high on the agenda of users, of specific users. We see from our European survey, this is not just a Cypriot issue, that they don't consider ethics very important. They consider integration very important, how to make it actually work. And ethics, of course, is relevant to building the trust. And also on the building of trust, something interesting I would like to mention from the EU study. I'm giving you sneak peeks now, but not too much, so that you actually read our European Commission study. That, for example, in the area of healthcare, even though there is more development around diagnostics that comes out from universities and developers, the uptake, the adoption of diagnostic systems based on AI is very, very low. And people are easier to accept AI and to adopt AI if they consider it a process rather than a decision. So this is something I found very interesting, that and it has to do a lot with what you call it, how transparent you are, but also about educating the users about what AI is. So in summary, I think there are very big challenges which are very basic, organizing your data, fixing your foundations. But there are also challenges around adoption that have a lot to do with trust and with building not only the capability and the upskilling, but also the culture. Yeah, so this is for now.
Thank you, Christina. And I will ask the people who watch us to post questions so I can put them to the panelists. But I will turn now to Theodoros, if I may. I really like your story about bloodletting and that it sort of went on for hundreds of years, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right way of treating disease. And with your permission, I will use it in some of my own sort of chats internally as we're trying to drive change. And I wanted to ask you, because from my perspective, from the perspective of business, is a key issue. How do we shift to a data sort of led organization, and especially at the time when paradoxically, in a way, whilst we have so much data and so much science, and obviously all the advancements from in AI, in algorithms, etc., there is at the same time a suspicion, a cynicism to all this, and we can see it all, globally with the questioning of science and data sort of based decisions, and although obviously in big organizations, in business, people are more prepared to accept data as a basis to take decisions, tradition and what worked in the past, and actually how you make that shift in the way that you lead an organization is not so easy. I would like to hear on your perspectives and with the experience you have working with, I suppose, many executives at INSEAD.
Yes, it's a very good question. It relates, of course, to the adoption question and the integration question, but it's actually bigger than that, of course, because adoption is for one technology, but this is adoption of the culture, if you like, right, which is much broader. I'll summarize some lessons out of a project I'm working on for the past number of months, actually, where I'll tell you the story of the project, because I think it's also telling. We started this project about a year ago, maybe less than that, actually. And initially, the idea was to understand what are the skill sets of data leaders, meaning chief data officers, chief digital officers, VPs of analytics, you name it. And with the purpose being to learn from that how to upskill organizations, how to upskill people who want to get in that career, people who want to transition in that space, in mid-career, etc., etc. In the process, we changed the topic. First of all, because first we realized that successful, but I didn't mention, the project is basically, the nature of the project is we interview 2 times 1 hour each executives, CEO -1, CEO -2, usually, sometimes CEO -3, of large organizations, both digital natives and non-digital natives, from Amazon and Microsoft to General Motors, Wells Fargo, Morgan Stanley, whatever, Danone, Schneider, I don't know, about 30 of them already we talked with, all those people, all those companies, sorry, across Europe, US, and also a couple in China also. And in the process, we understood, first of all, that to build a successful career as a data leader, obviously, the company for which you work has to succeed in adopting what you are doing. So then we started the second chapter, if you like, which is how do organizations succeed in this transformation to develop data capabilities and become data-driven organizations? And then, in the process, of course, we run into a third chapter, which is to succeed in implementing this. Among other things, you all have to build not only the culture of the executives, but also the data organization inside the organization. And you have to develop that capability as a capability in itself, in addition to the culture. So now you can see, and eventually, sorry, just to give you the end of or at least where the journey is now. The journey now is as follows. And this comes out of a couple of webinars, actually, we did with INSEAD faculty. This week, yesterday was the second one. Another one was 2 weeks ago with people like the senior partner of BCG, who is, sorry, bring that company in the discussion, who started BCG Gamma, for example, this ex-chief data and analytics officer of General Motors and of Wells Fargo, the chief digital officer of Euler Hermes. This was like high-profile people that we brought together yesterday and last week to discuss about those topics at INSEAD online. And where the journey is now is that in the process, we realized that it's not about skills of data leaders. It's not about only organizational capabilities development in terms of data team. It's not about organizational adoption of this culture and systems. It's actually about the skills of future leaders. One of my favorite quotes was from the chief data officer of Morgan Stanley Wealth Management, CEO -1 position, all-timer in this in his late 50s. He said, "My job will be successful if I'm the last one to get out of my office and turn off the lights because the rest of the business doesn't need me anymore." That's the job successful, the CDO, chief data officer, and analytics, exactly in that space. Now, how do you build this? First of all, how do you? There are a few questions that may answer your question from different angles. What makes a successful decision to hire a chief analytics officer to start develop? Two things. Typically, what we see in our discussions, interviews, and studies is that you typically need to have a so-called burning platform. The company realizes if they don't get this capability, they are in trouble. Or there is serious support from the top. And when we say serious support from the top, it does not mean that the CEO read a Harvard Business Review article that says AI is important and woke up the next day and say we have to build AI capabilities. That's not a serious support. Serious support exactly where to implement it, and you have a plan of execution, for example, focusing on customer insights, on inventories, on employee satisfaction, you name it, all of the above. You must have enough business cases which get you off the board, on track. So, burning platform support, but mature support from the top are key success factors for starting the journey. What about the data capability itself? Two questions there. How do you divide it in the organization? Do you put it under the CEO, the CFO, the CTO? Interesting to see where it's positioned in different companies. In some companies, as I mentioned, they are positioned under the CEO and with a link to the board. It means different things than when, for example, it's positioned under the CTO or the CFO. Different pros and cons. And this is another discussion by itself. It's a small research project we're doing on the side about this. But what's important here is both where you position it, how you build it. For example, this capability by itself has this horizontal characteristic. It has to link with engineering, as I mentioned, and with business. And how do you embed it with business? For example, one of the tips everybody keeps repeating, the head of analytics have to basically lend their best talent for free to the business units so that the business units can see the beauty and power of these technologies. So that the business people, after they see an example, they want more of it. So that's kind of initiation. And part of it is like evangelization, but evangelization not in the sense of just going around and training and showing demos, in the sense of actually giving a solution, a low-hanging fruit for a specific business pain point of a user with your best people from the team who understand, who are I don't like the term translators. People use this term of translator. I think it's a terrible term, and I can talk about it a bit more. Let's talk about people who can do both, can understand both business and are commercial and have all this breadth of skills and know how to translate that by themselves to analytics, right? But translator is a big term. It's a bad term. And then you slowly kind of embed this and let the business want to have more of it. And of course, you have to do other things like data academy, as you mentioned, the evangelization, training, all of the above. See outside your company and even outside your industry, bring in people from like the leaders of the world in this space, so that you can kind of embed the culture of the art of the possible. All right, and then of course, keep an eye on all the data issues, which of course most companies, as you said, one of the pain points is data, obviously. But it's a whole ballpark by itself. I mean, as you see, there are multiple aspects. In addition to that, the traditional IT management aspects, or technology management, the change management, of course, right? The integration and all that. These are like, we know this for 30 years now. There's nothing new there in a sense. What's new is the horizontal and embedded nature of these technologies, because they go all the way to decision making. It's not just to automate a process or support the process, take a customer order. It's actually to decide what customer order to take in a much deeper sense than traditionally. I don't know if I answered your question. I mean, I'm happy to go deeper in any direction if you like.
No, thank you very much for that. It was very comprehensive. I mean, it could be the topic of a separate lecture, maybe. Yeah. But I will tell that to Jana, because obviously to get all this adoption and change done, we need trust and we need transparency. And since these are your topics of interest and focus, I would like to have your sort of perception on and thoughts on how we build trust to facilitate this change and this shift that is required. And I'm looking at some questions. I will encourage the audience to continue placing some questions on Facebook and YouTube as they watch it. So Jana, over to you.
Thanks. So it may sound very romantic, but I'm going to go back to the issue of education and raising awareness again, too. And something that I thought of with respect to culture that I don't remember at which point that Christina was making that I remembered this, but a few years back, there was this Eurobarometer that was published on European attitudes towards emerging technologies. And I think they looked at robotics, drones, and autonomous vehicles, and it made an impression on me that Cyprus and Greece were cited as the two countries within the EU with the most negative attitudes and the most fearful attitudes towards these technologies. And what also made an impression on me is that the explanation that was given in the report, it wasn't a data-driven explanation. I think they were just trying to speculate why it turned out this way, was that people in these countries don't have an opportunity to engage directly with these technologies. And I started thinking about it, and I don't entirely agree with that. I mean, it's true that probably most of us are not engaging with robots on a daily basis or autonomous vehicles, obviously, but all of us interact with technologies that have narrow AI embedded. And I think we can extrapolate on this in those of us who are educators at all levels in the educational system, and sort of try to help people understand the nature of narrow AI, what it is, what it isn't, and dispel some of these myths and dispel some of this fearfulness.
Thank you very much for that. And I will. Yeah, I was going to turn to you, Antonis, actually, and ask you, and you may comment, answering also my question. We are closing this discussion from a university perspective. I mean, obviously, education is important. How do you, I mean, beyond the people who actually study computer science, for example, but how do you instill this new way of thinking and this level of awareness to students who's in other disciplines, for whom this would be key topics in the future for them in terms of how they transition to the work environment?
You see, Evgeniou, I obviously teach an AI course, or a couple of AI courses at the university, and I have some students that come from other disciplines, some from mathematics, some from the business school. And when I teach AI, it's easier to talk to those people rather than the computer scientists. The computer scientists, they're too much focused on this optimality that I mentioned before. They too much focus on getting the correct behavior. They cannot see the bigger picture. And I'm driving, and if you my lectures now are on the web, so I can give you a link to. And I'm working every day to let them see the problems in a more kind of wider perspective. It doesn't matter, I say, if your cognitive assistant, hasn't really figured out exactly. It's giving you a good suggestion, or it's giving you a dilemma. Either you can do this or this with explanation of why, and so this is good enough. You take the final decision and you go ahead. I want to say a thing though about ethics, the way that I look at it, and this may sound a bit too far-fetched, but I hope I'm wrong. If we don't consider the ethical dimension really very seriously from the very beginning when we design in these systems and then we're letting them integrate in, Christina, what will happen is we will see a new kind of pollution, like the environmental physical pollution. We will see a new kind of pollution in our mental human world. And this pollution, I don't know if we're going to manage to get over the first pollution in the physical world, but maybe we can manage that. But this second pollution, I think we're not prepared to. It will take years to understand. It will come again like a shock as the other one has come. So that is why it's important to look at the ethical dimension from the very start. It's really, you really need to, what I say to my students is that for an AI system, the two main requirements are to be ethical, to have a cognitive behavior which is pitched at the level of your users, whether they're the doctors, different type of behavior, whether it's a nurse, different type of behavior, whether it's the patient, different type of behavior. These are the two main things you have to consider. These are the two main requirements. So I want to say, because I am the NCP for one of the flagship AI European projects, the AI for EU. There is this flagship European project called AI for EU. You can find it by just the 4, putting the number 4 between the two. I just want to make a pointer that in the afternoon session or in the later session on innovative capacity track, there will be 2 special talks on this, where this project is a gateway to anyone who's in the European Union and beyond, who's interested in AI. This project is a gateway to learning about AI, whether it's research, whether it's education, whether it's industry. And also there'll be a separate talk on the first open call for funding opportunities that this project will be giving to innovative ideas like startup ideas. Finally, for education, again, let me make a pitch for our department. Our department gives a master's course with the Open University called Cognitive Systems in AI. It's an online course. It's been going on for 3 years. It's in English. And we have students from all over the world. We even have a student from Turkey. And we've just been awarded an EU grant to start a new master's in AI, again online, within a European network that includes Bologna, the oldest university in the world, Dresden, and other partners. So hopefully with the help, I mean, I'm appealing to companies like yours and kind of the wider community that we need to set this ecosystem in Cyprus for AI. We need to attract young people. We need to make it easy for young people to come and try and enjoy the experience. And hopefully we will develop a new kind of activity that I said earlier on. Thank you.
Thank you, Antonis. And I'm conscious of time as we need to gradually wrap up this panel and move on to the rest of the agenda. So I will very briefly turn to Christina before I close with Theodoros for his final thoughts. Christina, very briefly, I mean, I make a parallel in my mind and it may be completely wrong. To a large extent, the global financial crisis was caused by people in finance and others not understanding financial products, and it went all wrong. I mean, are we running some similar danger with people sort of increasingly not understanding how data is being used and how sort of all these AI systems around us are used? I mean, it sounds a bit more pervasive than financial products. And always when there is lack of understanding, in my mind, there is a danger on how you use it. So very briefly, if you can touch on this as from a regulatory angle, before I close with Theodoros for his final thoughts, and maybe building on my question, given his very nice way of putting it, the art of possible being balanced with the art of what is the dangers of what is actually possible. So, Christina, your perspective on this and regulation, and then we
Yes.
finish with Theodoros.
So I think that there is a danger, and I think there definitely needs to be a refined regulatory framework around AI. But at the same time, like Professor Evgeniou said before, it's a very big challenge, because you want to create regulation that doesn't also hinder innovation. So there is a very fine line that has to be reached between the two. And of course, I do think that ethics are very important, and they should be to some degree regulated. But there is also the need for organizations themselves to take responsibility. And we now have, it's a very hot topic in the news right now around Google and the fact that they want to ethically review research and innovation, and how much should they be reviewing from an ethical point of view? Will this hinder innovation to some respect? So I do think that regulation is needed around data use, around interpretability, around ownership, but it should be not just something that needs to come from policy, but also from the organizations themselves.
Thank you, Christina. Theodoros, the last the last words of this panel are yours, and you gave us a very insightful lecture. So we want to listen to your reflections as we wrap up this panel.
Thank you. It's so much to say. I don't know where to start. I could continue to what Christina said, but let me close with a different topic. One thing that people talk about, and we also see in the survey study I just mentioned that's coming with Mazars and the board agenda with INSEAD Corporate Governance Center, is that it seems that COVID year, as we all know, and we are on Zoom, on Vimeo now, or whatever, on some video conference, the COVID year has sped up the technological innovation and the digital transformation of the world. Some people say in 1 year we've seen like 10 years of technological adoption and innovation in many ways, let alone the healthcare side. What's clear is that the speed will only pick up, whether for COVID or not for COVID. And with the speed comes also the risk of having various gaps broadening. For example, the gaps between leaders and laggards within industries, across countries, between people who are skilled and not skilled. A lot of gaps will be exaggerated as these things move fast. And the gaps can be exaggerated very fast themselves if we don't pay attention to this at some kind of education leveling field, but also organizational, industry, and geopolitical leveling field. And building capabilities. Because if you fall back, if you fall behind, it will be very difficult to catch up. You will be, what one may say, Amazoned. Right? So we have to catch up and take this seriously before it's too late and close all gaps, including the gap, which, by the way, is an opportunity between the art of the possible and the risk of what is possible. I'll leave with that because I understand, Evgeniou, you like that, so I'll just repeat it one last time. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, and thank you so much. Happy to be back again anytime to continue the discussion.
No, a big thank you to you and to all the panelists for a very insightful discussion. And I mean, definitely the pandemic has accelerated a lot of pre-existing trends. Technology is one of them. And I fully agree with you that the imbalances that existed before will become even bigger. And that's why it's really important for countries and for businesses, whilst they repair the damage caused by the pandemic, at the same time to rethink and reconfigure themselves about the day after. And data, the use of data and artificial intelligence are central as to how businesses and society will transform over the next years. And I think your talk, your lecture, and this discussion has brought to light how many aspects we need to consider in dealing with this topic. So once again, thank you very much. It's been a privilege to try to coordinate this panel and hope to be able to meet physically soon. Have a good afternoon. Thank you very much for the audience and the participants.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Evgeniou. I would like also to thank the panelists. Thanks, Christina. Thanks, Jana, Antonis, and of course, Theodoros. Thank you very much for very insightful comments and ideas. I hope that policymakers in government, but also in industry, and of course in academia, will take those messages and turn them into action. I would like to say for our audience again that the discussion and Professor Evgeniou's talk will be posted on our YouTube channel. If you search for it on YouTube, the channel of the Center for Entrepreneurship, University of Cyprus, you are going to find the video as well as nearly 100 videos from similar events in the past. Now we move on to the last session of our forum, which is the innovation capacity track. What we aspire to do is to showcase various activities related to artificial intelligence here in Cyprus. And without further ado, I would like to invite the first presenters who are going to talk about the Cyprus Center for Algorithmic Transparency and the Transparency in Algorithms group. So you have 3 to 5 minutes. The talk is from the Open University of Cyprus and RISE. Can you hear me? Μας ακούνε?
Όχι ακόμη.
Μήπως να προχωρήσουμε με τον επόμενο και να ξεκινήσουμε...
Τώρα σας ακούνε.
Ωραία. Can you hear me? From this... So now you can start. So it's now the first speaker is from the Cyprus Center for Algorithmic Transparency. I don't have the names of the speakers on my list, so please present yourself first. Yes, Styliani, hello, we can hear you very well. Please go ahead. Yes, we can hear you. You can start.
Okay, so can you also see my screen?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So I will start again. I assume there is a delay, so Good evening. My name is Theodoros Kleanthous, and I'm a member of the Transparency in Algorithms group within the AI pillar of the RISE Research Center and the Cyprus Center for Algorithmic Transparency at the Open University of Cyprus, which are sister research groups, and they are established in 2018. Both teams share a common mission. We focus on understanding the nature of impact of human biases in the algorithms and data that underlie many of the systems that we use today. At SciCat, our research focuses on users' relationships with smart technologies. With our partners, we are designing tool-based and educational interventions to promote fairness, accountability, transparency, and ethics by raising the awareness of a range of stakeholders, students, teachers, and young developers. In contrast, at TAG, our work focuses on promoting faith in research and innovation practices. We aim to develop tools, techniques, and platforms that aid in promoting transparency and fairness in data, algorithm, and analytics. The last 2 years, we have worked extensively with computer vision tools for image tagging, which automatically infer the content of an input image. It's become increasingly easy and economical for developers to use pre-trained models and tools for big names in the tech industry, including these. And some of these companies have actually referred to artificial intelligence as a service, as a process of democratizing AI. In particular, Microsoft has said that it wants to make it possible for any individual or organization to use AI. With respect to European Union startup companies, recent research showed that 1 out of 12 are using or reusing these types of AI as a service, and that they have strong economic incentives to do so. So we have been developing auditing processes which test the behaviors of image tagging services when handling people-related media. It's of course important to ensure that developers understand a priori the range of behaviors of these services. This slide here illustrates how some services can misgender people, as well as use tags that are subjective and open to misinterpretation, such as the blue tags that you can see. Human label data is typically the gold standard for training machine learning algorithms, and to this end, we are actively conducting research in the area of human computation and human-in-the-loop approaches for auditing machine behaviors. For example, in TestHunt, we investigate the connection among bias in AI applications and social bias generated through the crowdsourcing task. We also recently released OpenTag, an interactive platform that facilitates human oversight of cognitive services. In recent work, we used OpenTag to understand people's perceptions of the behaviors of image tagging algorithms, but we are also looking into other ways to exploit our platform, and we are, of course, open to collaboration with anyone who is interested. For instance, we are involved in a new project proposal in which OpenTag will serve as a means for the public to report fake news and memes they come across to. Finally, realizing that trustworthy AI also requires that we raise the level of digital human capital here in Cyprus, as mentioned earlier in the panel also. At SciCat, we've designed seminars and distance learning modules using our interactive demos and learning tools. In October 2020, we ran a series of seminars for public school teachers with the Cyprus Pedagogical Institute on the role of education in promoting algorithmic transparency, focusing on everyday algorithmic systems for information access. On behalf of TAG and SciCat teams, I would like to thank you very much for listening and your attention. And if you require more information, please contact us through our social media or our websites. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Styliani. And the next speaker is Professor Yannis Katakis from the AI Lab of the University of Nicosia. Yannis.
Hello. Let me share my screen. Okay, hopefully you can see my presentation now and you can hear me.
Yes, very well.
All right, so hello everyone. Thanks for having us. Thanks for giving us this opportunity to present the Artificial Intelligence Lab of the University of Nicosia. My name is Yannis Katakis and I'm an associate professor at the University of Nicosia. Our mission as an MBA AI lab is to do research, of course, and innovate in the areas of AI, machine learning, and data science, but also to educate the next generation of experts on those fields. And we also give a lot of effort in trying to bridge the gap between academia and industry. Now, although we have just recently been established, we have grown fast, and what you see on the slide is only the, let's say, the tip of the iceberg. We have many external collaborators that work with us in the problems we are interested in, and many of them come from the industry. The problems that we work on are a wide range of areas and tasks in data science and artificial intelligence, like deep learning and Bayesian reasoning. We really like interdisciplinary topics, so we work a lot with social scientists and political scientists. We do a lot of text analytics, so we do sentiment analysis. We do social network analysis like event detection. And of course, we provide methods to deal with this large volume of data that we have to deal with. In terms of applications, we focus on the health sector, smart cities, and social sciences. This is just a brief mention on the project that we're working on. Alameda, for example, these are funded projects. Alameda, for example, works towards early diagnosis and treatment of brain diseases. Flock AI aims to boost drone swarm autonomy, and Eunomia targets user-oriented, secure, trustful, and decentralized social media. So it's more about misinformation. Regarding education, we have just launched two new programs in data science, a bachelor degree in data science, which is the first bachelor degree in data science in Cyprus and one of the few in the area. It is a quite interesting and interdisciplinary degree, and also an MSc in data science, which is offered via distance learning. It is based on the industry requirements, and it has attracted a lot of students of different parts of the world. We are very proud that within the context of these two degrees, we have established some important partnerships, like with the Expedia Group, the Makrivakis Open Forecasting Center, NVIDIA's Deep Learning Institute, and Google Cloud, targeting and improving, of course, the quality of education. And for the same reason, we have established a series of guest lectures where our students will have the opportunity to interact with people working in the industry in companies like Google, Apple, Facebook, Visa, KPMG, and of course Expedia, which is one of our main partners in this MSc. That was all from me. Thank you very much. So we would like to hear from you. So let us know how we can help you if you're working in the field, and of course, let us know how you can help us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yanni. The next talk is about explainable AI-driven business intelligence products to help you work smarter. It is a presentation from Impact Tech, which is a startup here in Cyprus, a startup that was created by George Larku and other colleagues of him who were students and researchers at the University of Cyprus in the Department of Computer Science. So, George, or Georgina, who is going to talk?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Yes, very well. Hi.
Can you see our screen as well?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. First of all, thanks for the invitation and thanks for having us on this event. So my name is George. I'm the CEO at Impact Tech, and today with Georgina, we will present you Impact Tech Sales Hero. I remember from the very first day we launched our products, Impact CRM, Impact Telecoms, Impact PSP Gateway, and we started attending meetings with potential customers, we always hear the same words. At ImpactX, you have developed an amazing combination of products, but as you know, we spend enormous amount in online marketing for lead acquisition. So potential customers that end up with our less experienced employees. And the question is, what if you could provide us a software that will be able to actually help us analyze every interaction our sales representatives have with them, identify the most successful ones, and identify common keywords, common patterns, and allow us to replicate the success by giving our sales agents superpowers. As you can imagine, most of the sales conversation still happen over the phone, and we managed to combine different state-of-the-art approaches, such as statistical and deep learning methods, to give you a new way to monitor every call, enhance compliance, and of course, our main goal, improve productivity. Georgina will go through our innovative explainable AI interface on top of our cloud-based PBX that we recently launched and covers everything that I previously mentioned and probably much more. ImpactTech Sales Hero is part of the Innovate Restart 2016-2020 program by the Research and Innovation Foundation, ILMA project. Georgina.
So let's get here a closer look in our technology. The call processing starts with robust voice activity detection that is able to accurately detect the speech, even in situations with high background noise, music, and so on. The speech segments are then fed to speech recognition models, which are adapted for the target domain in order to get the dialogue script. Both ASR and VAD models are trained in-house with state-of-the-art tools, and we have shown that they outperform widely used systems such as Google Speech API. Once a dialogue script is inferred from the dialogue, as we can see here, we can start benefiting from various NLP methods. In this particular configuration, we have enabled DNN-based sentiment analysis, both for the agent and the customer channels, and text classification in two modes, rule-based and statistical-based. For simple tasks where we have a clear structure in what we are looking for, we generally prefer pattern matching or rule-based techniques, while we keep statistical models for more complex classification tasks, such as named entity recognition that we see here. Now about explanation, which is an interesting part of our solution. We already mentioned that we have a variety of machine learning methods to get intelligence from the particular phone communication. However, the derived intel is not always clear. A very good example is sentiment analysis. In this particular utterance here, we see that the system believes that the sentiment is positive, but we cannot understand always why. Our explanation model, a novel solution that is built on top of the DNN output, says that, okay, this sentence is positive, mainly due to the words great, and good that exist in it. Another interesting part of our system is the decision here. So based on all the NLP output that we get and the various inference that we have on this dialogue, we train the last classifier that summarizes everything into one decision, whether the call is okay or not. Right now, our effort focuses in trying to explain this decision, and although our classifier works, we need to make sure that we can persuade any compliance officer or a monitoring agent that the classification result they see there is accurate and that no bad calls will go unseen. So we still have a lot of interesting problems to solve, and we are excited to do so with the help of Innovate Restart program and the Research and Innovation Foundation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Georgina and George. Now, the next talk is from Suite 5, another company which is based in Cyprus and is about their data intelligence solutions.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you, Marius. I will just share my screen. Okay. Okay, can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. So, thank you for the opportunity you gave us to attend the forum and present, even briefly, our technologies, our product offerings, and the different competencies, let's say, that our company possesses in the area of AI and in general data management and AI. So it was really useful that we heard to the previous discussion, to the previous panel, about the different challenges introduced and actually faced by the diverse industry sectors with regards to data management, data analytics, and artificial intelligence, because our offering actually refers to an end-to-end data products that address these diverse challenges, at least from the technical point of view, and especially focusing on data management, data interoperability, data analytics, and ultimately data sharing. So as you can see in the slide that I present, our offering includes 5 main products, which start from the S5 Collect, which refers to data collection, data management, also adhering to some to issues that have to do with data integrity and data quality. It is complemented by a search engine that allows for building and executing queries over data and exposing them to external applications through APIs. And they both support our S5 Analyze product, which allows, first of all, for experimenting with different algorithms, designing and executing AI analytics over different types of data. And we do have also a product that facilitates data sharing, the S5 Share, which facilitates data sharing between different stakeholders over blockchain-enabled data contracts. And actually, this is mostly ensuring a secure and transparent and trustworthy data sharing between different actors of the industry. So our products are rather complementary and can be combined in different ways according to specific business cases and requirements that our customers have. From the very typical case and the very simple case when customers need to run analytics on premise with highly confidential data, to more complex cases when customers need to run analytics with data owned by other actors in their value chains, and this is really challenging. And in this sense, they are in need of getting involved in data and intelligence sharing transactions, and this needs to be facilitated and provided in a transparent and trustworthy manner. And since this session actually is about AI, I will further focus on our Analyze product, which, as you can see, consists in a fully fledged platform offering a complete set of features that address the needs, first of all, of data scientists, and allows them to go through several steps in order to execute analytics, including data preparation and manipulation, design of their analytics pipelines, utilizing libraries of basic algorithms, but also pre-trained algorithms that we have trained within specific contexts and can be easily adjusted and reused in similar contexts, and deploy their analytics and execute them either in the cloud or in edge or on on-premise environments. While on the other hand, we offer features also for business users in order to receive fine-grained reporting through intuitive interactive visualizations. And what I want to highlight is that this is not a static product, but it's continuously expanded and extended with new features, which result from our research activities, because we do have some intense research orientation in our company. And at the moment, our focus is on introducing what are the previous speakers talked about explainability, AI explainability features, towards increasing the visibility and knowledge on how specific decisions and how specific predictions have resulted from an analysis, and actually allow us to shift from black box AI models to glass box ones. And this is a really challenging field of research. Now, in business terms, very quickly, we offer our services and solutions in a variety of factors in different business verticals, spanning energy, which is one of our mostly targeted domains, manufacturing, aviation, e-health, cybersecurity, and governmental organizations. And we are also, on top of our analytics solution, our analytics product, we are developing tailored solutions for them in order to address specific business needs and improve not only operational efficiency, but also allow them to get involved into new businesses, into new services towards their subsequent clients. Our key partners and clients during this journey that we are going through are presented here. I will not go through them in detail, just wanted to highlight some key facts about the company, which during the last 2 years, we have experienced a 90% increase in our personnel, a 60% increase in our revenues, and in terms of research and innovation, actually, we are listed as the first private for-profit organization, let's say, in funds received for research activities from the European Commission in Cyprus, which is one of our highlights. And I'm closing with this. I would like to thank you for the opportunity. And I'm here also to respond to any questions if there are any.
Thank you very much, Tassos. That's very interesting. Now we move on to our next session, let's say, which is about research results in artificial intelligence, where we have 2 presentations from Keynote, the Research and Innovation Center of Excellence at the University of Cyprus, and 1 presentation from UCLan, the University of Central Lancashire in Cyprus. So the first presentation is titled Drive Guard, a deep learning technique for countering cyber attacks against autonomous vehicle camera subsystems in the context of the Horizon 2020 Caramel project. So please go ahead. Can you hear me from Keynote? Christos Kirkou.
He says his microphone is not working.
Oh, okay. So maybe we can, there is some technical problem. So we can proceed with the second presentation, which is about a modular approach to detect GPS location spoofing attacks in autonomous vehicles. So the speaker...
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just sharing my screen.
Yes, please.
Okay, can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to start. Okay, first, hello everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you for giving me the opportunity. And I'm Arno Borua, and I'm presenting a modular approach to detect GPS location spoofing attacks in autonomous vehicles. An autonomous vehicle is capable of sensing its environment and can operate without human interaction. Autonomous vehicles rely on camera, radar sensors, lidar systems, GPS, ultrasonic sensors, and central computer to operate on the road. Benefits of autonomous vehicles include fuel efficiency, reduction of traffic deaths, travel time reduction, and lessens traffic jams. However, along with benefits, they also bring security challenges that open up new cyber attacks surfaces to malicious users. In autonomous vehicles, location awareness is one of the primary requirements. And for localizations, the global positioning system, in short GPS, is widely used for navigation and tracking. GPS is based on the use of satellites, but satellites transmit unencrypted signals, which make the GPS receivers one of the weakest modules of autonomous vehicles. As a result, jamming and spoofing attacks are easy to carry out. In the GPS spoofing attacks, a malicious user deceives the GPS receiver by broadcasting false GPS signals to replace the genuine signals at the GPS receiver. Therefore, the GPS location spoofing attack is a major threat to autonomous vehicles. We present a solution for detecting GPS location spoofing attacks in autonomous vehicles, which have a number of benefits. First, our solution relies on an in-vehicle detection scheme where only information from the vehicle sensor is used, instead of information from nearby autonomous vehicles or the roadside infrastructure. Our solution is cost-effective because it can be implemented on cheap embedded computing platforms like NVIDIA's Jetson and can be installed in a straightforward way inside of a vehicle and connected to the controller area network. In short, CAN bus system for receiving measurements. Our solution does not involve any heavy computations and can run in real time. Therefore, it is able to detect attacks very fast in a reliable way while achieving high attack detection rates. And then an alarm can be triggered in order to take necessary steps to mitigate the attack. For example, informing the vehicle control unit to alert the roadside infrastructure that can revoke the vehicle certificate to stop exchanging false information and reverting to the alternative location stream instead of GPS until spoofing is over. To develop the solution, we focus on GPS location integrity check. Here in the below, at the beginning, onboard sensor readings are put into the vehicle state model to predict the future location. And subsequently, GPS-free global positioning measurements are used in the update stage to improve the previously predicted location. Then the comparison step. Then in the comparison step, the GPS reading are compared to the estimated locations of the vehicle. In case their deviation exceeds the threshold, then an attack is detected and the vehicle can revert to the fallback location solution. Our solution is developed in the context of Caramel project. Caramel introduces innovative anti-hacking attack detection and prevention systems for the European automotive industry. Caramel is an innovation action funded by the European Commission under the Horizon 2020 program, and it brings together 15 renowned organizations from 8 EU member states, as well as 3 organizations from South Korea. The project develops a novel solution based on artificial intelligence and machine learning techniques to address cybersecurity challenges in autonomous vehicles. Thank you, and also thank you on behalf of my team.
Thank you very much, Arnab. So let's move to the next talk. The title is Sherpa, Shaping the Ethical Dimensions of Smart Information Systems, a European Perspective. And the speaker is from the University of Central Lancashire in Larnaca. I think you need to unmute your microphone because we see you, but we cannot
yes,
hear you.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me now?
Yes, very well. Hello.
Thank you for the invitation. Hello, I'm Calypso Iordanou. I'm an associate professor in psychology at the University of Central Lancashire in Cyprus and member of the Sherpa project, a Horizon 2020 project which investigates our understanding of the ways in which smart information systems impact ethics and human rights. I'm trying to give me a second to share my screen. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. So the Sherpa project investigates the ways in which smart information systems, the combination of AI and big data, impact ethics and human rights. The consortium has 11 partners from 6 European countries representing academia, industry, civil society, standard bodies, ethics committees, and art. It is led by De Montfort University in UK, and basically you use a multidimensional approach that involve combining several methods to collect data, such as case studies, scenarios, online interviews, and focus groups. Today, I'm going to present some findings of the focus groups, particularly the ones which explored stakeholders' views regarding what they consider as the main ethical issues that come out of AI. Some focus groups took place.
So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we don't see your presentation. We do see your screen, but we don't see the presentation.
I'm sorry.
We're seeing the Meet, the Google Meet window.
Not sure why it's not. Maybe I can continue without the presentation. Okay. So I'm going to present some of the findings of the focus groups. The focus groups took place in several European countries, most of them online because of the restrictions of the pandemic. For example, one took place in the context of the International Conference on the Ethical and Social Issues of in Information and Communication Technologies. Moving to the results, a prominent concern of participants regarding big data and AI was the weakening or loss of autonomy. The example of Cambridge Analytica and the level of influence it had in the results of the election was discussed. This was presented as a breach to one's right to make a decision without any influence. Participants emphasized that there is a need for an absolute respect for the autonomy and the freedom of human rights. Another concern has to do with loss of privacy. This was related to data collection that enable monitoring and surveillance via tracking devices such as medical equipment, GPS trackers, smartwatches, smartphones, home security systems. Another issue discussed was the prioritization of financial interest over ethical issues, mentioning not only big data companies, but also the Volkswagen scandal or Boeing's lack of transparency and manipulation of the Federal Aviation Administration. Basically, participants noted that even when there were legal standards and structures in place, companies were driven by profit. There was a discussion of this issue in the context of Zubo's argument that we are living in the age of surveillance capitalism. The problem that exacerbates lack of transparency and loss of privacy and autonomy was traced down to the invisible nature of data collection. There was a reference to transparency in terms of how the algorithm operates, for instance, of a search engine. Another concern had to do with accuracy and reliability of information. The role of AI systems was discussed as it's used in Facebook and Google to spread misinformation and fake news. Some ethical issues were traced to the lack of accountability or even the lack of fear of punishment as a deterrent of an unethical behavior and data manipulation for political or commercial reasons. Recommendations now to address those issues involved legislation, having a European agency for AI and AI ethics officers, standardization, and education that it has already been discussed, starting from primary formal education and extending to lifelong learning program. There is a need to promote reflective thinking, responsibility, critical thinking, evaluative epistemic cognition, both to AI developers and AI user citizens. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Now, So the next talk, I don't know if the talk from Kios about the Caramel project
Yes,
is ready.
can you hear me now?
Yes, yes. Please go ahead.
Okay, great. Sorry for that. There's a mistake with the microphone. I will just give me a minute to share my screen. Can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So thank you for the invitation. My name is Christos Kirkou. I'm a senior research associate at Kios Research and Innovation Center of Excellence. My talk will be also a part of the Caramel project that was described before. In this talk, I will focus on our activities that relate to countering cyber attacks against the camera subsystems of an autonomous vehicle. So as autonomous vehicles become even more important to increase transport safety and reduce casualties, we see an increase in the levels of autonomy, and at the same time, there is a number of technologies that get integrated into autonomous vehicles, like 5G, smart charging stations, and autopilots. All these new technologies, as they are introduced, have a lot of challenges, and some demonstrate new ways that malicious agents can perform attacks and cyber attacks. So the purpose of the project is to try and find new ways based on AI and machine learning to alleviate these kinds of cyber attacks, specifically and more importantly with regards to the perception systems that basically make the vehicle understand what is around it, like the vehicles and road infrastructure and so on. It has been demonstrated in the literature that the perception systems that we have right now in autonomous vehicles and a lot of these prototypes are susceptible to attacks. For example, by adding noise or even random noise, an image of a stop sign can become a speed limit sign, and it can also make the vehicle change its steering prediction and also hide some important structural elements like road markings, traffic signs, and so on. All these have catastrophic consequences. So the goal of our activities in this project is to guard the camera system of the vehicle against malicious attacks. So in this scenario, a malicious agent can have access to the subsystem of the vehicle and can manipulate the camera image so that it causes the vehicle to misbehave, either by some even random attack or by degrading the quality of the image. So the vehicle has to be able to detect whether such event has happened. Now, our solution that we call DriveGuard is basically based on deep learning and convolutional autoencoder structure that we train with thousands of images to remove different types of noise, different types of degradations from the input image, so that in its output you get a much better image that can be used for the different perception modules. So as you see on the example on the top, the two images are, they have some noise added, and also some part of their image is hidden and blocked. And on the bottom, the reconstructed image, you see that the noise is removed, and some traffic markings are also added by the approach. So in a demo here, we see the approach used to safeguard or to guard the segmentation module that basically identifies different objects in the scene. So on the left, you have the clean image. In the middle, you have the attacked image. And on the right, you see the reconstructed image. And if you see the bottom row is the segmentation output that in the middle, which is the attacked image, it gets a lot of noisy output. So this can cause the vehicle to stop or take some unintended action. So the next step that we can take is, if we have this approach, we can then use the reconstruction and the input image to detect when such an attack has happened, and maybe alert a service or halt the vehicle. On the right, you can see that randomly an image can be attacked, and our approach manages to find out that this has happened. Also, at the same time, reconstruct the image, and we are planning to implement this on an embedded device so that we can interface it with a real vehicle from our partners in the project and test it in a real working condition. So that was from me. Please find more information on the website and contact me if you need any more information. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christos. So let's move to the next part of this session, which is about AI-related innovative products and services. The first two talks are from the AI for EU project, which is a flagship project in the European Union with many interesting activities coordinated various stakeholders around Europe. So the first presentation is about AI for EU. AI for EU stands for a European AI platform for united European AI ecosystems.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, we can hear you very well. Hi, Long.
All right, hi. Good afternoon, everyone. It's quite late over there, I realize, but I'm thankful for the opportunity. So I'm trying to see my window here, share. Okay, can you see my presentation?
Yes, we can see it.
Yes, okay, that would be great. Thank you so much. So again, I'm grateful for the opportunity. I am with the INSEAD Center for Data Analytics in University College Cork. We are actually leading one work package, which is called the Ecosystem Development. So we have been in our second years, as you probably already know. We are funded by the European Union, Horizon 2020. So what is AI for EU? It is a collaborative Horizon 2020 projects that aims to unite the whole European AI community to really achieve and also get the positive outcome of AI development as AI applications in European societies and economy. And we also wanted to create a leading collaborative AI European platform to nurture the growth within the Union. So these, I'm not going too deep into that because you're probably very familiar with that, because these are actually very challenging, but we are working on those human-centered AI research area. And we have the platforms that go and also pilots as well as technological gaps identified. So we would be encouraging you to become users on the platform. Later on, I will show you how does it look, and then you can be a part of that and explore it for yourself. And I am also available to help you if you have any inquiry. So as I mentioned, those are the experiments that we already have. Those are actually the actual learning that we are going to put into all kind of different activities, as you already mentioned. We have the funding activities. We also have the ethics activities in terms of research, as well as the conferences and workshops that we organize. We also have publications. We also have a dedicated what we call observatory on the platform that provide you with all the information that you would need, and also regulation as well. So again, I encourage all of you to check it out. And again, we are supported at the EU level. We have 81 members from different countries. As you see here, 21 partnering countries, but we're covering all of the countries within the European Union with our different partners, as well as network of national contact points. And again, As I mentioned, we also have the cascade funding of 3 million through our open course, which is you would hear later on my colleagues will be sharing about what does it mean with open course and how you would be beneficial from that. Again, these are the numbers of the our members of the projects. And again, what are we exactly trying to do is that we wanted to be a bridge, a catalyst between the European AI research and industry. And bottom line is actually that how we are going to get all of different stakeholders to share and also to get the inquiries on a platform, on a kind of united platform, together with the ecosystems that we are trying to build. They are not necessarily all the time on the platform, but we are having them within our network, and we will be able to help you to get whatever, not all of the what you need, but we will try our best to serve through our services. And with that, as any other projects you already know and familiar with, we are having 9 different work packages, so work package model. And so I am in the work package 4 of ecosystem creation and development. And we also have a dedicated on the ethic, which is work package 5, and then in work package 8, which is the open course that will be presented to you later on. And also what would be very relevant to you would be the filling AI technology gaps. That would be very important for you to understand that how you can be a part of the research and also how to be a part of the ideas that beyond those already identified. And work package 6, which is the pilot experience with the platform. That's where I think you would find a lot of good lessons and also good communities that you can be a part of. And I'm not going to go into details of this one, but we kind of having all of different challenging topics that we mentioned earlier. For example, explainable AI or kind of the verifiable AI. Those are kind of the areas that we are trying to tackle. And you see, or it go into kind of details with different tasks under the work package we manage. And here is the landscape and where we position ourselves. And we wanted to be the node, one of the nodes in the whole ecosystems. And we are trying to support primarily with all of the partners that already exist, and also the upcoming one. For example, the ICT 49 will be launching, 6 projects will be launching in next year or next month actually. And then a number of projects in 48 and 38 our partners, and also we work with other existing initiatives in Europe. And here is another way to look at that. So in the center, we have the demand on-demand platform. And then other than that, we have different tools, pilots, we have resources, we have different kind of contents available for each of the stakeholders and target audience. And here is just another way to look into that. And those on the left, as you see, are the 5 different projects, as we call National Network of Excellence. So Taylor, Humans, AI for Media, Alice, and Vision. They are actually ICT 48. And it is the platform. That is exactly the look of the experiment space on the platform, that if you come in, then you will see it and you can team up, you can try out, and you also can find the expertise as well as the algorithm probably you would need or you would wanted to learn more about. We also have the AI resources catalog available. And the last message that I would like to get to all of you is that please be a part of the AI for EU. We are here for you. We have a platform and we have ecosystems available. We also have the experiment part and we have the information and news services on daily basis, as well as we have the resources and marketplace that you would be able to connect with industry as well as to connect with other competencies that you are looking for. And the open course is actually now ongoing, and the first cutoff will be January 26th next year, and we after that we would have the call for solutions later on in 2021. So the actions that I would need from you is actually to identify the synergy on the
Δεν την ακούμε. Έχει αποσυνδεθεί. I think Long has been disconnected.
But you also can share share your expertise.
Okay, thank you very much, Long.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
You were disconnected for a while.
All right, can you? Oh, did I? Okay, probably because of my connection is not so good.
That's okay. Thank you very much for your presentation. AI4U.eu. That's the place to go.
Yes.
Thanks a lot. And let's move to the next talk, which is again from the same initiative, and it is and very interesting, I think, proposal for startups and other teams that are looking for resources to develop their ideas. So it is about all what you need to know about AI for EU call for challenges.
Hello.
Yes.
Ula, are you here? I don't see Ula here. So probably I would be able to just cover it for her.
Okay.
Okay, sorry for that. Right, I'm going to share my screen. Yes, I think that she's having something at the moment, or because of the mix-up of the time, you know, so probably that's, yes, so that's why she's, okay. Okay. All right, okay, so let me try to share the screen again. Okay, so I assume you can see my screen, right? Yes, okay. So as I said, the call for challenge. So here as we are looking for SME, mid caps and large company. For the consortium, they can participate, but they can't have the funding. And the funding is actually that you can get up to 10,000. That is call for challenge, and you become the challenge owner. So the challenge owner must commit to provide the necessary elements effective to address the proposed challenge. That will include the assets, the data needed to develop the solution, technical support to AI for EU code for solutions, and also potential adoption of the results by the end user. So and again, it is already open now. I would send all of you through the message, the link to this call so that you can look more into it. But like here, it is what are the benefit and financial support provided. So as I said, 10 case, and then we select the best 13 challenges. So besides the money, you also have the support from the consortium in defining and resolving the particular problem. For example, if you don't have the particular competencies available, we may be able to help you with. And then we also help you to develop a solution for the challenge for free during the support program to our next call, as I said, call for solution later on. And also we have quite good channels, digital channels on the platform, as well as social media and events that we are partner with, as well as we are organizing ourselves. So you will be featured in those. And then so who can apply? Here is the technology providers, European industry. Again, we try to define that all of those partners that wanted to be this is actually the European industry startup. So it has to be European. And research organization also welcome to be a part of. So what activities will be supported, as you can read here? I'm not going to read it for you, but the beneficiary that graduate from the program will be showcased as the new resource on the platform. So we have quite a good offer and support available for you. And the call for solution, as I said, it is not open right now. It probably will be open in April. And those are the call for solution so that they can address the challenges that identified. So it's kind of the 2 steps that you can see there. And financial support is up to 70K for the best 41 solution providers, those who work with the challenge owner. So the 13 challenge owner will work with those solution providers in order to come up with the solution. Besides the money, as you said, that as I said, it's pretty much included, similar to what I had presented earlier. So with that, I think that I have done my presentation in the call for the open course of AI for EU. And if you do have any questions or anything, I am going to be here, as well as
there may be some problem with your network connection, but I think that's okay. The message was clear, and the opportunities, I think, are exciting for teams that wish to develop solutions for related to the challenges of the AI for EU. Now, the next, let's move to the next talk, which is about a distributed artificial intelligence framework for device-to-device communication in 5G and beyond networks. This is from the Department of Computer Science of the University of Cyprus. So, who is the presenter?
Hello, my name is Iakovos Ioannou. I am the presenter. Hello, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Good to hear from you.
Thank you. I'm going to present now my screen. 1 minute, because I only entire screen. Share. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. So, good afternoon. I am Iakovos Ioannou, PhD candidate at the University of Cyprus, Computer Science Department. I am research associate at RISE Smart Network Systems Research Group. What I will present now is distributed artificial intelligence framework for D2D communication in 5G and beyond networks. The current presentation relates to enhanced mobile broadband and massive machine-type communication aspects of the next generation 5G networks. So this is our area that we will do. In this slide, we show the need of the AI framework. the existing mobile network problems are the following. Huge bandwidth requests from user equipment cannot be handled by the base station. The existing mobile infrastructure and mobile technologies cannot fulfill all the needs of the users. You can see this even by using your own mobile. If you want at the same time download a movie from YouTube and speak at Skype, you will notice that there is lag and slack, and your downloads is very slow. So here comes 5G to the rescue to tackle the mobile network problems that we said before. 5G requirements in order to achieve 5G are the following: high data rates, low latency, low energy consumption, high scalability, improved connectivity and reliability, and improved security. Is there any approach to achieve 5G requirements? Yes, there is. We have shown that there is. So what is device-to-device communication? It's a type of communication that operates in licensed and unlicensed spectrum. In order to be more clear, license, I mean with the license keyword, the pay frequency that an operator pays, and for the unlicensed keyword, the frequency that it's free, Wi-Fi. So we can utilize in our communication Wi-Fi frequency. The second is that it's transparent to the cellular network because that allows proximate devices to bypass the base station and establish direct links between them. Share a connection here, act as relay stations, and directly communicate and exchange information among them. What is the goal? Our goal with the DAI is to develop an AI and ML framework that will act as glue with other intelligent approaches and can be utilized by mobile devices and enable them to intercommunicate among them. The purpose is also, among others, for information sharing, request among others, orders, propositions, and notifications, with the purpose to implement D2D communication and achieve 5G requirements. Why AI/ML? Because we want autonomous control of communication. This is D2D. That's why we have D2D communication. We need more networks under a network. In open literature, there are only 2 hops, 2 relays only supported in the existing approaches. We offer and we have shown that we can implement more networks under a network, an optimized solution using ML, fast decision, dynamic and flexible with self-healing mechanism, and less messaging. How this DAI framework can be realized? Of course, with agents, with BDIX agents. But let's start at first, explain what is AI, go to DAI, and go to the DAI framework. AI refers to human intelligence in software. Software that think like humans and mimic human actions. Software that is learning from environment and executing problem-solving solutions. DAI is a concept based on managed intelligent agents that manage their knowledge, abilities, capabilities, and intent plans in order to perform actions with the objective to solve problems by collaboration or as an individual entity. The by collaboration is important because they can talk to each other and collaboratively solve hard problems. DAI framework realization is achieved with BDIX agents. A BDIX agent is an agent with independent decision-making behavior based on information state belief, as you can see from the red here, motivation state desire, as you can see from green here, and deliberate state intention, as you can see from the blue here. Extended with machine learning. Additionally, BDIX agents can communicate among each other for requests and informative messages.
Please wrap up because we don't have too much time left.
Okay, I will go straight to the point. Here we have an example of BDI agents. In the first case, the BDI agent in a device shares among others. In the second case, it extends the network. And in the third case here, I show that it's persistent through the beliefs of intentions, desires, and beliefs, and what that the operator sets. The agent can not select the best for it. What do we achieve using BDI agents? What we have shown, we have high data rates in order to enjoy YouTube, Netflix, Skype at the same time, as shown in the figure 1 and 2. Less power consumption. You can see from the blue line, in contrast with the yellow, how much power we can reduce and reduce the computation time. Why this is important? Less time, because we can support dynamic situations in the mobile network. I want to acknowledge the financial support coming from the RISE Research Center for this project. Thank you for watching.
Thank you very much.
Presentation.
Thank you, Iakove. Let's move to the next talk, which is about using AI solutions for intrusion detection in the Internet of Things. Hello, Christiana.
Hello. Hello. Let me present. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So, my name is Christiana, and I'm going to present computational intelligence, solutions for intrusion detection systems. I am a postdoctoral researcher at the Computer Science Department at UCY and a research fellow at RISE. The current presentation is focused on ultra-reliable and low-latency aspect of the 5G triangle of services, specifically how to have reliable, trustworthy, and timely communication between the smart networks and the end user, and having data integrity and reliability using intrusion detection systems and artificial intelligence techniques. We are focusing on the Internet of Things in industrial facilities that aim at creating a more productive and efficient systems. In industrial environments, we have the operational technologies, the machines, and the information technology, the data, to be more connected than ever. Now, this convergence provides industries with the optimized automation and better visibility, among other benefits. However, it is also the main characteristic that makes industrial IoT facilities more liable to cyber attacks. The IDS for IoT is an intrusion detection system solution that detects cyber attacks in the industrial IoT. Intrusion detection systems have long been proposed. However, the traditional detection approaches are not sufficient for addressing the new and growing security issues that come with the smart stuff. IDS for IoT uses anomaly detection technique to detect abnormalities within the system. It captures the data on the overall state of our industrial system, including endpoint devices and connectivity traffic, and trains the system to identify what is considered normal and what is not. It does that by using artificial intelligence methods and statistical analysis. These techniques allows us to examine the network and application and offer attack, misuse, malfunction, or failure detection with high accuracy. Once a problem is detected, a broad range of actions can be executed. So far, we have tested 5 anomaly detection techniques, 3 security agent operation models, and attacks in different protocol layers. We have implemented and evaluated this IDS concept in numerous occasions since 2016. Classification support vector machines, the CSVM, and the BLR logistic regression and statistical analysis tools have been used to detect abnormalities within the network's device by identifying the important network activity parameters and using data from an IoT platform. We created CSVM and BLR detection models using both benign and viral activity and achieved a correct classification rate of 99.94% when evaluated on an IoT platform. CSVM detection models were also being created and evaluated as global network IDS, monitoring the whole network, and achieved accuracy rates within the range of 96 to 100%. Preliminary results on applying BLR IDS on a gateway system in a global node using a different set of network activity have also shown that abnormalities can be detected with an 80 to 100% detection rate. And this concludes my presentation, and thank you all for your attention.
Thank you very much, Christiana. And let's go to the next talk, which is about mitigating cyber attacks against industrial control systems using data-driven fault-tolerant control in blockchain-based decentralized framework. This again from the Computer Science Department of the University of Cyprus.
His microphone is muted.
Abdullah, your microphone is muted. Please unmute.
Hello everyone, can you see my screen?
We can hear you, but we don't see your presentation slides.
Let me share it again. Can you see now?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Hello everyone, I am Abdullah bin Masood, a PhD candidate at Computer Science Department of University of Cyprus, and also I am working as a research associate at RISE. The current presentation is focused on ultra-reliable and low latency and extends to the massive machine type connections of the 5G triangle of the service, specifically how to have a reliable and secure industrial control system using intrusion detection system and artificial intelligence techniques. The aim of the control systems in industry is to ensure automation of process by providing control inputs through information communication system and monitor the behavior in a closed loop. Following this definition, let's take a chemical reactor example in which we have a chemical plant whose objective is to produce different products through some input chemicals. We feed the operation objective in a controller who will then run the plant via some control inputs and monitor the behavior at every sample time. The control inputs are given to the plant through some actuators, and the sensors installed in the plant will give us output measurements in return, thus creating a closed loop in which plant behavior converges to the set point condition stored in controller. Let's say if there is an intruder who injects some anomaly in this closed loop operation via control input or through sense measurement. His aim is to distort the normal behavior of system and make the operation unstable. This will result in trust lacking of the communication channels which are being used to share the information. Let's say if there is an intruder, consider the normal behavior of the plant in which its dynamical behavior is stable. We can depict this behavior through this graph, where on the horizontal axis we have the running period of the plant in terms of number of samples, and on vertical axis we have some amplitude. As you can see, the graph is fluctuating in fixed constraint bounds set by the controller, and seeing that we tell the system is in stable mode. In case an intruder or a false data injection, the system behavior is distorted, as can be shown by this graph, where there is a sudden shift in amplitude. We, as an industrial operator, want to develop a fault-tolerant scheme that can shift the system behavior from abnormal to normal one. Suppose we have a sensor-based intrusion operation.
Abdullah, ακούστηκα καλά τουλάχιστον.
Is there any problem?
I don't know. Some microphone was open, but now it seems it was turned off. Please go ahead.
Okay. Suppose we have a sensor-based intrusion in the operation, then the fault tolerance is implemented through these steps. We first take the input and output and give it to an intrusion detection system block, which can raise a flag in case of an intrusion detected in the operation. This will inform the reconfiguration block, who will ensure the transition of system abnormal behavior to more stable one. We can design an efficient, accurate intrusion detection system through machine learning domain of AI. In machine learning, we have principal component analysis, we have multivariate statistics, we have quadratic and discriminant analysis. These three work together to give us a threshold value, which will be used to tell us the behavior of the system. If the behavior of the system is below that threshold, we will say the system is normal. If the behavior of the system is above this threshold, we will say the system has an intrusion. Okay, the next step is in the reconfiguration block. We will use neural network to model an estimate of the plant, which will give us the estimated values in case there is a false values coming from the sensors. We can use these values in case and use them to reconfigure the plant back to its normal state. Let's say we have this system implemented and we introduce a pressure sensor intrusion in the system. In this case, you can see in this graph, in the lower graph, from time 3 hours till 9 hours, we introduce an intrusion. This caused the system plant sensor value in the above graph in the red dotted lines to deviate from its original values, thus creating an intrusion. But in this case, we luckily have a fault tolerant control, which reconfigure it back, and you can see in the blue signal that the sensor values are going back to its actual states. Thus, our fault tolerant control system work, and from pressure sensor intrusion back to its normal behavior. I would like to acknowledge this work to the Rice Center, who is funding me through my PhD fellowship. Thank you so much, and that concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much, Abdullah. And now let's move to the last presentation of the forum, which is about an MSc in Artificial Intelligence program by the European University of Cyprus.
Hi, hello everyone.
Hello.
My name is Alberto Calzada, and let me share my screen right now. My entire screen. This one, yeah. Great. I think you should be able to see yourselves in a bit. Fantastic. All right, so this is the presentation. And yeah, as I was saying, my name is Alberto Calzada, and I am a, can you guys see the presentation? Can everyone see the presentation
very well.
now? Yeah, great, thank you, Andres. Yeah, I was saying that my name is Alberto Calzada, and I am a data science consultant. That's what I am in reality, a data science engineer, machine learning engineer, etc. And since a few months ago, we have started this new project, which is quite exciting. It is an artificial intelligence master in the European University Cyprus. It's a distance education unit master. And today in this presentation, I would like to introduce it a little bit. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about. Yeah, artificial intelligence. When we were designing the master, it was a little bit of a challenge because artificial intelligence is such a huge field of application and research from so many different topics. And I must say that I'm so happy that I was the last presenter today, and I was very excited to see so many other projects running in Cyprus. And it was fantastic to hear from projects specialized in computer vision to natural language processing. There were some others, and data mining and big data as well, of course. So yeah, it was great. But when we were designing the master, it was a little bit difficult. Like, where are we going to focus on here? So what we decided was, like, all of these fields, what they have in common is data and learn. They need a lot of data in order to run, and they need to learn from that data in order to process that and produce an output. And so the two big fields, or the two big pillars of the master, are big data and big data analytics, for example, big data tools, etc., and machine learning. And that includes this a huge family of technologies or techniques such as classification, regression, clustering, deep learning, etc. So those are like the two big pillars, and we will see how that matches with our main aim, which is, and I always say to my students, like, what I want is you guys to be working as a data scientist in 2021 or 2022 when you finish your master. So they can tailor where or which kind of career path they can take with this master. So pretty much because all of you are AI professionals, you probably are quite familiar with this Venn diagram, in which data science, which is like applied artificial intelligence in the business world mainly, is a combination of computer science and IT, classic computer science and IT, maths and statistics, and also domains and business knowledge. So we are trying to position our students there. And this is why we require at least some kind of either mathematics background or computer science background. And that's it, because that is this way, because we wanted the computer science students that join our master to be moving towards that way first, machine learning and then data science, and the ones that are coming from a maths, physics, etc. background to also do that trick, but from the other side. And then the domain and business knowledge, they will be able to get it once they are working. So when I was working as a data science, for example, in the UK government, I was working as a freelance in London for a number of years, quite a few years. The domain and business knowledge always depended on the type of company I was working with. So when it was the UK government, we had to specialize on business data and trade data, etc. When I was working in healthcare, we had to be trained with a minimum of knowledge of what predicting diabetes is or predicting Alzheimer's, what are the parameters, etc. So this is something that they can acquire during the master a little bit, but mostly once they get a job. So our main area to focus is the top one here in this Venn diagram. It's a black one. Maybe I should have colored it in another way, not so dark. But yeah, I hope you get the idea. So the main idea is to move current professionals that work as software engineers or mathematicians or physicists to be moved into the career path of data scientists that most of you maybe have heard is the sexiest job of the 21st century. This was it's a quite old article, but I always find it funny, especially when I started working as a data scientist. It was about this time, and we were the few of us that were working in London back then, we were bragging a little bit about these things. So I always find it funny. It's not true, really. There are much sexier jobs, I think. But yeah, this one is it's not bad. And if you like what you do, I think it's a fantastic thing. And we're trying to transmit that passion. Yeah, so someone that wants to move from a classic, let's say, software engineer or mathematics or physics, to move them towards the data engineer and even to data scientist. Why is this? Why would somebody, if you don't have a vocation like most of us have, maybe you can look at the actual salaries, and you will see that in the UK, for example, data scientists on average get around 20K more per year. So if this is not, if this is something that can help you, or can help you do the final step towards a data science career, that would be, well, it's another reason why not. But you need to have some vocation as well, and you can work in many cool projects, such as the ones that you guys have been presenting today. Yeah, more about salaries. So yeah, we come back to the original problem. Yeah, artificial intelligence was such a huge field of study, which area to specialize in, and then we are again with the same thing. We have big data and machine learning, so which area to specialize? So for this, we offer the students already to tune what career path they want to follow. They want to be more heavily towards big data, so they will become, or the job title is data engineer. With the data science and data engineering job titles is happening kind of the same as with the software developer title. Back in the day, everybody was a software developer, but with the years, the field has become more and more specialized, and now we have front-end developers, database developers, back-end developers, mobile, Android developers, etc. It has become more specialized. So with data science, it's happening more or less the same thing. You want to be a pure data scientist, like towards machine learning and research. So then you have a more machine learning heavy master degree with us. If you want to go more towards data engineer, then you will be more leaning towards the big data side of the master. Or you can have a combination of both, which is actually what I was for most of the years, trying to bridge people that in companies that they were very good in machine learning, but not so much in actually coding and making that code production ready. Having very good developers and big data developers, but not being able to understand the machine learning models. So the data science engineer is the person that is able to translate this and making it code, production ready code. So with the big data. So the way we do this is with core courses to cover all of the basics of everything I'm talking about. That is the first semester of a master. Then there are a number of elective courses where the student can tune that path towards more machine learning, more big data, or some of the specializations, like the ones that some of you guys have been presenting today, natural language processing, deep learning, robotics, voice recognition. We have elective courses specialized on that. And so, yeah, these are the core courses. Let's go. I can run a bit more. And yeah, I wanted to say we have some students that they have a company already, and they present us with some of their problems, and they just want to be trained in order to be more efficient in their company. So what we tell them from day one is like, okay, we know already your master thesis. You're going to work on something that is going to help your own company. So that's an example, for example. We are very flexible on the master thesis part. I can show you. So yeah, this is the information about the master. And also to say that I'm very excited about some of the projects we have presented, because I also have a small consultancy. I still work as a freelance. So yeah, it's called Calza Data, and it's based in Cyprus as well. So yeah, it would be great to have some kind of social network after this forum where all of the participants that are here could interact, and I think some synergies could raise up. So thank you very much for the organizers to give us the opportunity to present here.
This is the last talk for today's forum. I would like to thank you for staying so late. And taking this opportunity, I would like also to thank all the people who contributed to organizing this event, which was quite complex and complicated because we had to, to do the finals of the Cyprus Entrepreneurship competition. We had the keynote speeches, the panel discussion, and then this capacities track. Unfortunately, we didn't have so much time because the online medium imposes a lot of restrictions in that direction. We didn't have the opportunity to socialize in coffee breaks, etc. But as you know, this event was posted online through our Facebook page, so you can add comments there, and you can see the videos on our YouTube channel. So with this, I would like to wish to all of you a happy holiday season, Merry Christmas, stay safe, away from the COVID virus, and I wish you all the best for the new year. Good night.